You're watching college football on ESPN, presented by 5 Hour Energy.
The Western Kentucky Hilltoppers coming out of the field here in Lexington, trying to win a game against an SEC opponent for the first time. Plenty of blue here in Commonwealth Stadium as Kentucky takes the field. The 1-1 Wildcats hosting the 1-1 Hilltoppers of Western Kentucky as we're ready to go here in Lexington tonight. Welcome to the SEC on ESPN. Hi again, everybody. Welcome to Lexington. Alongside my partner, former Georgia All-American Matt Stinchcomb, I'm Clay Matvick. Well, Kentucky last year, a disappointing season. They had a losing year and out to a 1-1 start this year. A lot of pressure on this Kentucky program and their head coach, Joker Phillips. Some think that if they're going to be bowl eligible this year, this is a must-win game tonight. The good news for the Wildcats, Matt, that offense is turning around.
Well, after almost virtually non-existence last season, you can see offense starting to gain its footing a little bit, and it's largely due to the confidence and the comfort level of Maxwell Smith in a new up-tempo offense. The passing offense alone has really carried some of their offensive fortunes already this season. Very explosive, and you can see the numbers are pretty graphic. Twice as many yards per game, and already half the touchdown production in the passing game.
Let's see if the Kentucky running game takes a hit tonight. Their leading rusher, Raymond Sanders, out for a violation of team rules. We found that out about a half an hour ago. So no Sanders tonight. Now, Western Kentucky, they nearly beat Kentucky last year in Nashville. And Willie Taggart's team runs a traditional West Coast offense. That means that the tight ends play a big role.
They're going to play a big role in the run game and in the passing game. You see 12 receptions for Jack Doyle. He's probably their best football player, 6'6", 250 pounds. He does an excellent job in their power running attack, but he's also a primary target in their passing game. When they get in third down situations, be on the lookout for where number 82 is on the field for the Western Kentucky offense.
Beautiful night here in Lexington. 70 degrees as we get ready for kickoff. Western Kentucky won the toss. They deferred, so Kentucky will receive. There is DeMarcus Sweat, a true freshman out of Georgia, who is one of the guys they are very high on. He's back deep to return. Hendricks Brakefield has it on the tee for the Hilltoppers. And we're ready to go here in the Bluegrass State. Deep kick into the end zone, and Sweat will bring it up. DeMarcus Sweat bouncing off a potential tackler, now spinning, still on his feet, and gets out close to the 20-yard line. Neil Wilson brings him down on special teams. It's a 20-yard return as we take a look at the Kentucky starting quarterback, Maxwell Smith, the sophomore out of Granada Hills, California. He's going to run this no-huddle offense. This is the first year of a new-look offense for Kentucky, and so far the number's good. In 2 games, he's completed 73% of his passes for over 600 yards and 6 touchdowns. We'll go 4 wide here on the first play from scrimmage. Smith out of the gun. To the right, and in and out of the hands of Aaron Boyd, the senior receiver, who has been a pleasant surprise this year. The team's leading wide out, but he drops the first one.
And, you know, you can see they want to get Aaron Boyd going early. This passing attack, comfortable taking the underneath routes. Not a lot of deep routes, a lot of quick hitters make it difficult to get to the passer.
Wasting no time and getting it into the hands of Lerod King. And it's a pickup of 5 yards. Xavier Boyd runs him out. It's going to bring up 3rd down and 5.
This is an area where Kentucky's gotten a lot better. A year ago, really sad. I mean, look at 30% conversions on 3rd down. Couldn't sustain drives. The passing attack has made them at least bump it up to 50%, allowing them to maintain some possessions.
Here's Smith. Over the middle, complete to Lerod King. His 100th and his 101st career receptions. That's a nice gain of 13 yards and a 1st down for Kentucky.
And what they hear the coaches talking about Maxwell Smith, he's incredibly accurate. They like his accuracy, and when he's able to be decisive with the football, he can be deadly in this passing offense. So far this season, with 72% completion ratio, has really powered what they've done with this ball.
2 for 3 so far throwing the football. 354 yards in a career day against Kent State last week. 4 touchdowns.
We see them there also. You know, you get that one kick, allowing to see what the defense is doing. That helps them be decisive as well.
Time to throw. Smith cocks, fires. Tipped up into the air off the hands of Gene McCaskill, incomplete. Let's take a look at tonight's impact players, brought to you by Lee Jeans. You see Smith, Aaron Boyd, he's going to be active in the receiving corps. Larry Warford, maybe the best guard in the SEC, and Avery Williamson on the defensive side. Excellent middle linebacker. So 2nd and 10 for Kentucky on their opening series. Smith, a little reverse. Here's McCaskill. Hit in the backfield and dumped at the 31. Beautiful play by Brett Harrington, the corner. It's a loss of 4.
Brett Harrington,
bring up 3rd and long.
And he does a great job of staying at home. Brett Harrington, JUCO guy, a new guy in this secondary that's a very veteran, very experienced group, staying at home, making sure that he maintains contain on that perimeter as it came around with McCaskill.
Western Kentucky, 12th nationally in total defense. This is not a group to sneeze at. Allowing just 241 yards per game through the first 2 weeks. That's including a game against #1 Alabama last week. Smith steps up, throws, intercepted. Intended for Ronnie Shields, but Brett Harrington, his 2nd big play in a row.
Maxwell Smith just trying to make something happen with this one. This is something when you visit with the Kentucky coaches they talk about. He manages the pocket well, but he's not got a lot of escapability. The ball's behind Shields. You see Brett Harrington, as you pointed out, 2 very heads-up plays. He breaks off the route. Larod King, he was running with him deep. Does an excellent job of making a play on the ball, and that's the first interception for Maxwell Smith. You see him there visiting with Andre Woodson, one of the better quarterbacks at Kentucky himself. He's going to need to shake that off in this ball game because he's a key component of their offense.
See if Western Kentucky can capitalize on the turnover. Here's K'Wan Jakes on the play action. Downfield, complete. Caught at the 30-yard line by Austin Akins. One of the deep threats for Western Kentucky. It's a gain of 29, and the Hilltoppers are in Kentucky territory for the first time.
This power running game, a strong play fake, and that can influence the secondary a great deal. Nellums, I think, just lost the receiver. Might have been peeking in the backfield initially, but unable to make a play on the ball in the air. Excellent reception. They're able to get going in the air. We talk about this run game. That's a nice compliment if you can open up with a big pass.
Talked about the tight ends. 2 tight ends set here for the Hilltoppers. Jakes goes under center. And he'll hand off. It's Antonio Andrews, his first carry of the night. A little stutter step. And dives ahead for a gain of 4. K'Wan Jakes, the 4th-year starter for Western Kentucky. And there is more on his plate this year without Bobby Rainey to hand off to, but they really like the way he's matured.
They have. They like the way he's taking the football better. He did a better job of it in the balance of the season last year when they won 7 straight Sun Belt Conference games. Really kind of hamstrung him early in the season with interceptions. He's taking care of the football better. That gives him an opportunity.
Send Rico Brown in motion. Jakes, Cox fires out to the tight end. Jack Doyle, first down. As he gets inside the 15-yard line. Brought down by Bud Dupree. It's a gain of 12, and Western Kentucky's knocking on the door.
You had to know we'd hear Jack Doyle's name early in this ball game. This is what you see a lot in these types of offenses. They're going to play with 2 tight ends, sometimes 3 tight ends in their formation. It's very difficult. You want to make sure that you're playing against the run. Kentucky's had a difficult time on defense stopping the run, but then you can leak a tight end into the passing route. He's going to be a key weapon for them all night long. He
is big too, 6'6", 253. Gives teams matchup problems. We'll go in motion here. Play clock down to 3. Jakes, deep handoff to Andrews. Some running room on that right side. Good run on first down, give him 6. There's Willie Taggart, 36 years old, one of the younger head coaches in the country. After 2 wins in 2010, he led the Hilltoppers to a 7-5 record last year, the biggest one-season turnaround in Sun Belt history.
He's a charismatic guy, was a heck of a quarterback in his own right when he was at Western Kentucky, heck of an option quarterback, and proven to be a very good leader building on some of his experience when he was out at Stanford. Very reminiscent of what they did with the Cardinal here at Western Kentucky with their offensive approach.
Second down and 4. Opening series for the Hilltoppers. Hitting the backfield is Andrews. Penalty flag comes down, and going down at the 10 is Andrews. Mr. Cobble with the tackle, a loss of 1, but we'll see what the flag is about.
Holding on the offense. Number 63. That's a 10-yard penalty. Second down.
Thanks, Matt Leffler, our lead official tonight from the SEC, as Louis Polanco, the starting left guard, is called for the foul.
You know, one of the best ways you can slow down a strong rushing attack is with penetration. And Kentucky's talking about being better against the run. They were counting on this defensive front to really assert themselves. They want a lot out of number 97, Mr. Cobble. And on the inside, Dante Rump. They're going to need them to play well tonight against this power rushing attack.
The running play for Andrews gets back to the original line of scrimmage. The linebackers there, Miles Simpson makes the tackle as penalty flags are flying everywhere here.
This is a very physical style of offense. They might get a little bit chippy. You can expect a little bit of it.
After the play, personal foul, defense, number 1. Half the distance to the goal, automatic first down.
Martavius Nellums, who was moved to corner from safety where he played in 2010, is called for the foul. Senior out of Memphis.
It's something you certainly can't ever afford. You know, a personal foul, considered a selfish penalty. And right there in the red zone especially, Martavius Nellums, one of their better tacklers. You know, they went without 3 of their top 4 tacklers from a year ago. As you see Martavius Nellums, he spends a lot of time, takes a swing, you just can't do that. You can't retaliate. It's always the second guy that does something that the refs catch.
First down and goal for the Hilltoppers. Jakes sets to throw, lobs it to the end zone, caught, Doyle, touchdown. Jack Doyle. But there is a penalty flag on the near side. And we'll see if this touchdown stands for Western Kentucky. If it does, it's an 8-yard touchdown pass. Here's a call from Matt Leffler.
Illegal formation on the offense. More than 4 in the backfield. That's a 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
So Jack Doyle's first touchdown since 2010 wiped out.
A heck of a play design. You know, they end up getting Bud Dupree, number 2 for Kentucky, and that's something that we need to watch for as well. He's used to having his hand on the ground as that rush hybrid on the outside linebacker looking. Rick Mentor's defense. He's going to spend more time in coverage now that he's off the line of scrimmage. But Jack Doyle, with the penalty coming back, a very costly one for the Hilltoppers.
And we spotted at the 13-yard line, so first down and goal to go from the 13 now for Western Kentucky. They load that right side. Andrews in the backfield gets the toss in the backfield and swarmed under by the Wildcats. Taylor Wyndham leading the charge. It's a loss of 2 yards. The 5th-year senior Taylor Wyndham, pass rushing expert, gets into the backfield. Let's go back 2 plays ago. This is what wiped out the touchdown.
You see Jack Doyle matched up with Dupree outside. Looks like they didn't have enough men on the line of scrimmage. The tackle wasn't covered up. They're going to do a lot of formation switches. They're going to move a lot of transitioning from tight ends one side to the other formation. Want to make sure that they're lined up appropriately. You see Jakes there gesturing for the motion to initiate with his hands.
Hilltoppers going in the wrong direction. Now a handoff to Leon Allen, the leading rusher through the first 2 weeks. His first carry produces 7 yards, so it's going to bring up 3rd down and goal to go. This is the 9-yard line.
This is another area, you know, Western Kentucky, they do an excellent job of maintaining possession. When we visited with Rick Mentor, defensive coordinator for Kentucky, that was one of his concerns, not only their physical style of play, but their ability to convert 3rd downs. It can wear a defense down. We're early here tonight. We've been going back and forth a little bit with these penalties as they've exchanged, but they do an excellent job of converting these 3rd down situations.
Crowd getting behind this Wildcats defense. Big test for him here early in this game, and now Kwan Jakes maybe having a hard time with communication here, calls timeout. So a 3rd and goal for Willie Taggart and the Hilltoppers when we come back to Lexington.
Go, Cat! Go, Kentucky!
Wow! All lives on ESPNU. Our experts review the big wins and devastating defeats and look ahead to the top matchups.
This is the biggest game of their season right now.
College Football Daily. Weekdays at 1 on ESPNU.
A 3rd and goal coming up for Western Kentucky. They've already had 1 touchdown called back because of an illegal formation.
And you see it at the top of the screen. There's a lot of shifts and motions in this offense. You've got to move up on the line of scrimmage to cover up the offensive tackle. They were unable to do that, and it scuttles a scoring opportunity. Jack Doyle coming out of the backfield.
Western Kentucky 5 for 9 in the red zone this year. All of them touchdowns. Jakes, Cox fires complete to Willie McNeil. Inside the 5, and he is stopped at the 4. So 4th down and goal for Western Kentucky. What does Willie Taggart do here?
You see Willie Taggart, you know, to me, I think he goes ahead and kicks a field goal. They got to get one at some point this season. I think you get the points. It's exactly what we're going to see here.
And the Western Kentucky field goal unit 0 for 3 on the year. Garrett Schwetman is going to come on. Mr. 36-yarder in week 1, didn't attempt a field goal last week. A 23-yard attempt. And it's good. First field goal of the year for the Hilltoppers. They get on the board first here on the road in Lexington.
Too bad it didn't end up being a touchdown. You can see Willie Taggart glad he got the field goal out of that drive.
ESPNU College Football Primetime is presented by 5-Hour Energy. Hours and hours of energy. Rick Minter's Kentucky defense holding Western Kentucky to a field goal. Kwan Jakes intercepted 4 times last year by the Wildcats. And Western Kentucky said this week, you know, if we probably get better play from the quarterback last year, we win that game. He was pretty good on that opening drive, 3 for 3, 43 yards, and got him into field goal range.
He did an excellent job on that opening drive. Defense doing an excellent job of giving him an opportunity. They started with excellent field position. Penalty negates the touchdown, but able to come away with 3 points in a stolen possession.
Hendricks Brakefield to the 4. That's where DeMarcus Sweat starts his return. Good one, too. He's got a blocker to the 40. Spins at midfield and brought down at the 45-yard line of Western Kentucky. They like DeMarcus Sweat's ability.
That's some of the playmaking ability that we've heard about out of this young Kentucky Wildcat. DeMarcus Sweat took one to the house on a screen pass a week ago. Great blocking out in front. DJ Warren with the key block. Tyler Robinson, excellent job setting up the return, getting a playmaker out in space.
We really haven't had a playmaker since Randall Cobb left. Maybe DeMarcus Sweat can fill that void. First and 10. Second drive for Kentucky. Here's Koshik Williams. And he picks up 3. Let's go down to Allison Williams.
Play the Kentucky offense on the field without leading rusher Raymond Sanders, held out of this game for a violation of team rules. But head coach Joker Phillips was confident that that would have little effect on what they're able to do offensively because of the depth they have at running back. But most importantly, they have Koshik Williams in there. He has fresh legs after missing last week with a back spasm. Coaches said that he should be able to go 100%. He'll just have to go a little bit more tonight without Sanders.
All right, Allison, thank you. Good pressure here on Smith, and hit as he catches the ball is Williams. It's a loss of 1. So 3rd down and relatively long here for Kentucky.
Andrew Jackson does an excellent job on the pressure. He's able to get and Maxwell Smith, make him move off of his mark. We've seen it already, able to deliver it. Koshik Williams, there's nothing wrong with checking the football down with this offensive mindset, but it did put them in a third and long situation.
On 3rd and 8. Smith throws incomplete. Darryl Collins, redshirt freshman, the intended receiver. Tyree Robinson on the coverage. As you take a look at Joker Phillips. Talked about it before, a little pressure on the head coach here in Lexington. Ticket sales are down. And in the preseason, when you talked about SEC coaches that might be on the hot seat, of course, Tennessee's Derek Dooley, his name was mentioned, and the other one, Joker Phillips.
Yeah, the expectations have been set so incredibly high. You go 5 straight bowl games, and that's what's become the standard here at Kentucky.
Andrews fields the line drive punt and gets out close to the 40. Landon Foster, the true freshman punter, on that kick. Willie Taggart, he's got a long relationship with the Harbaughs. We're going to talk about that and how it's affecting this Western Kentucky team when we come back.
Welcome to the SEC on ESPN.
Here's Western Kentucky with a 3-0 lead. With 5:43 to go here in the first quarter. Willie Taggart, in his 3rd year as head coach at Western, was an All-American quarterback at Western Kentucky under Jack Harbaugh. Still very close with the 49ers coach Jim Harbaugh, who recruited Willie to Western Kentucky when he was an unpaid assistant to his dad while still playing for the Colts. In fact, they were in each other's weddings.
Incredibly close. You see Coach Harbaugh now the head coach for the San Francisco 49ers. And Willie Taggart was a running backs coach for Coach Harbaugh when he was out in Stanford. Toby Gerhardt, top rusher in his senior season, largely because Willie Taggart, he's happy to feed his horse. Led the nation in attempts as well, a la Bobby Rainey, when Taggart took over here at Western Kentucky.
You can see Stanford all over this offense, too. Here's Antonio Andrews trying to bounce it to the outside. No operating room. Pulled down at the 41. Gain of 2 as Nellums and Wyndham combine on the tackle. Impact players presented by Lee Jeans.
We've already seen it in this ball game. K'Wan Jakes, excellent job passing the football. Leon Allen's a freshman that they want to get going on the ground. And Gavin Rocker and Andrew Jackson. Jackson was the one who put the pressure on Maxwell Smith to force that punt in the previous Kentucky possession, and leading tackler for the Hilltoppers.
Second down and 8 as Jakes goes under center. He'll pitch it back to Andrews. It's a power running game, much like Stanford, much like the 49ers, what they're doing in the NFL.
We talked about it coming into this ball game, Clay. It's not oftentimes that you'll need to go 4 deep at the tight end position. But because Western Kentucky spends a lot of time in 2 tight sets, sometimes 3 tight sets, it stresses a defense because you can line up with 2 tight ends to the right of your offensive formation, and that forces a defense to adjust their front alignment. Kentucky is going to spend a lot of time with 4 down linemen in this ball game. Because of it, you see it right here. Double tights.
Play fake. Jakes tipped up in the air and intercepted. Avery Williamson with the pick. And Rick Minter talked about that this week. He said we've got to start forcing turnovers. They get one there.
Now they're dead even in the turnover battle. And Avery Williamson is a guy that they have to have come on this season. They've had a strong line of linebackers here. Does an excellent job of almost tackling Jack Doyle. But they're trying to get the ball in there to Willie McNeil. Great awareness by Avery Williamson with the ball in the air. Now, does Kentucky try to jump on it with a quick change and get the ball deep?
First and 10 from the 48-yard line. Good field position to start this series for Kentucky. Western Kentucky, 4 turnovers in Tuscaloosa last week. They wanted to clean those up. Well, they turn it over for the first time tonight. On first and 10, a little pitch over to Koshik Williams. And he'll pick up 3. On 3rd and 2, Willie Taggart goes with that play call that led to a turnover. What'd you think?
I was a little curious because they've been so much success on 3rd down. Shows some of the, when you see Koshik Williams limping off the football field, they're going to need him. It's a deep position, but it's not that deep. They need him healthy, but it was a little bit curious they're throwing on 3rd.
Smith, complete. First down yardage for Kentucky. Lerod King out to the 31. Raymond Sanders out for this game. Violation of team rules. Sanders will not play tonight. Koshik Williams just limped off. Not good news for the Kentucky running game.
Great ball placement by Maxwell Smith. They do an excellent job of hitting his receivers in stride.
First and 10 from the 32 of Western Kentucky. Smith time down the middle of the field to the end zone. Again batted around and incomplete. Intended for Gene McCaskill. Arias Wright, the corner, who's been starting since his true freshman year for Western Kentucky. Now a junior, makes a nice play.
And there's the deep shot that we were talking about. McCaskill gets a good hand on it, elevates. They don't get to take many shots, though, because they run so many plays in practice. They have to pick their spots to go deep, and when they do, they have to hit them, something they talked about last week. Maxwell Smith missed a couple of deep throws. He's been very accurate in the intermediate passing game.
Now second and 10. Jonathan George, his first run of the night for Kentucky. Had a career-high run of 38 yards last week for a touchdown. A junior out of Lincoln, Alabama. Kenny Martin brings him down. Kentucky trying to take advantage of starting in Western Kentucky territory for the second time tonight.
Very aggressive, but again, you miss on that shot play on first down, puts you in a 3rd and 9 situation.
Smith, again time to throw, intercepted. Jonathan Dowling, the transfer from Florida. He was burned a couple of times last week in Tuscaloosa. Wanted to make amends tonight. Well, that's a good start.
We talk about a veteran group in this Hilltopper secondary. Last week had some coverage issues. Maxwell Smith maybe feeling a little bit of pressure. Quintara Smith did an excellent job a week ago. Got to McCarron 3 times. You see Smith just overthrows Lerod King. Dowling is a Florida transfer. It's a good job of playing the ball in the air, something they've talked about. You'll see Smith. He's just able to beat Kevin Mitchell. Great use of his hands. He's a guy that they expect a lot of. He beat DJ Fluker, the right tackle for Alabama, yet last week. They want to get a lot of pressure up front, help that secondary versus the passing game.
From the 38-yard line at first down, wide open is the fullback, Kadeem Jones. And he'll get it to midfield for a Western Kentucky first down. College Football Daily, your destination for all the latest reports and analysis. Our experts dissect all the storylines and breaking news each day. College Football Daily, weekdays at 1 on ESPNU. We're going to be talking about Alabama, another impressive win today. Of course, Arkansas without Tyler Wilson, as John L. Smith decided not to start Tyler today.
Wisely so. You see the hits the way he took last year versus Alabama. Wise to try to keep your quarterback healthy to play another day.
Here's Andrews again. And a short run. It'll bring up 2nd down and 7. And we go to the studio for an update for the first time tonight.
Hey guys, Matt Chick here in the studio. James Franklin does not get the start tonight from Missouri, still nursing that injured shoulder from last week's game against Georgia. But Corbin Bergstresser, the redshirt freshman, gets in. 10-0 Tigers.
It'll be interesting to see how Missouri plays tonight after that emotional loss in their first SEC game last week to Georgia.
Yeah, you know, they're going to realize that it's not only a tough schedule, but tough 4 quarters the way they played in the SEC. I think they should bode well. They should have equipped themselves well this season over the course of the schedule.
2nd and 6. Jones, first man through, barrels ahead for a gain of 4. 3rd down and 3 coming up. As Avery Williamson makes the tackle for Kentucky. There's Willie Taggart, play caller for the Hilltoppers. In this situation last time they threw it. What do you expect here?
Well, you know, it's a different situation. It's a yard further, and when you look at 3rd down situations, it's not as easy. If you were to flip them 3rd and 2, you think maybe you go for it. Kadeem Jones, their short yardage back. We would have thought that they would have kept it on the ground. Here, it looks like they're going to keep it on the ground as well.
They do to Allen. Looks like he's going to be short. Give him a yard. So it'll bring up 4th down and 1 with 43 seconds to go here in the opening quarter.
Well, Leon Allen, they like him. He's a freshman. And he kind of eased into the line of scrimmage. Surprised we didn't see Kadeem Jones. I bet he gets it here.
No, they go back to Allen, and he is stopped. Did not make taken. And Kentucky's going to take over on downs.
That's a huge momentum swing for Kentucky. This is a defense that's been giving up about 200 yards a game on the ground. Opportunity to assert themselves versus a power rushing attack. This is the physical game. They run the power here. They do a great job of getting hats in the hole. Look at Wyndham close, goes unblocked on the play side, and all his friends are there waiting to back him up.
Taylor Wyndham, known for knocking Tim Tebow out of a game back in 2009. Now they're starting rush in for Kentucky. Big play there as the Wildcats take over. And even though Maxwell Smith has thrown a couple of interceptions, Western Kentucky only 3 points on the board so far.
Not able to capitalize for a touchdown. They had one taken off the board because of a formation penalty. Great opportunity for Kentucky, and unfortunately don't like what they see, but this is what jumping the ball with up-tempo allows you. You're over the football, and so you're allowed to see what that defense does. They look over to the sideline. Randy Sanders and his quarterback, great relationship. Didn't like what they saw there.
25 seconds left here in the first quarter, and the play clock was winding down on Smith. They call the timeout here. And this first quarter might come to an end without any points on the board for Kentucky again. They have no first quarter points this year and no first quarter touchdowns since November of 2010 in a game against Tennessee.
You know, typically you see offenses where they're more explosive in the passing game. They're able to punch the ball in. They've had difficulties in the red zone already this season, have the Kentucky Wildcats. That's hurt them in their first quarter scoring. As they get into the meat of their schedule, and even here tonight, because of the nature of Western Kentucky's approach on offense, you'd like to create some separation, because if you get into a grinder with this team, that's exactly where they want you.
Play fake. Smith rolling out to the right. Lobs it downfield, has a man caught by Tyler Robinson, and he is depleted at the 48-yard line of Western Kentucky by Keontae Young, the strong safety.
But that allows Kentucky to do what they want, get the tight ends more involved in the passing game. Oh, pretty big shot. Great job by Tyler Robinson hanging on to the football.
First down, but he paid for it. George, the lone setback. He'll get it. Nice run for Jonathan George. And another first down. Well, no points in the first quarter, but Kentucky has a little momentum here as the first quarter comes to an end, trailing 3-0 to the Hilltoppers of Western Kentucky, who have a couple of interceptions of Maxwell Smith tonight.
Welcome to the SEC on ESPN.
3-0 Western Kentucky. Maxwell Smith, the starting quarterback for the Wildcats, has not had a good night. He is 5 of 11 with 2 interceptions, yet his team has it at the 37-yard line, 1st and 10. And they're only down 3 points.
Yeah, you could see maybe that Kentucky, they talked about a little bit, wanting to get the running game involved a little bit. If Maxwell Smith is shaky, it's an opportunity to do just that. Got a couple of nice runs so far in this drive.
Rod King in the flat. Tries to step out of the tackle of Tyree Robinson, the starting corner. Give him 3 yards. Maxwell Smith throwing a couple of picks, but again, the Hilltoppers with just a field goal so far.
You know, Western Kentucky came into this game, top 10 pass defense. Both picks were thrown. Maxwell Smith had to manage some of that space in the pocket. A little bit of pressure led to some turnovers. He's going to have to be able to manage that a lot better, because the Hilltoppers do a good job up front getting after the passer.
2nd and 7. Smith looks to the outside, fires, complete at the 30. There's Aaron Boyd. Boyd, 11 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown last week. He's in his senior season. He's out of Lexington, right here in his hometown. Kind of came out of nowhere this year so far.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at him a year ago, he had the same number of catches as former offensive tackle Stuart Hines with 1. The fact that he's popped up the way he has is a surprise.
Jonathan George trying to run for the first down. Looks like he's going to be stopped about a yard short. There is the middle linebacker, Andrew Jackson. The leader of that Western Kentucky defense coming up with a nice stop. But it looks like Kentucky's going to go for it here. 4th and 1. To the outside, there's Boyd. He's hit and stopped short. And now Western Kentucky will take over on downs as Keontae Young making another big play.
You see Maxwell Smith just trying to swing it out there. Ronnie Shields lock up your man on the outside, but great play by Keontae Young of recovering, getting back out there and saving a conversion. There's some back-to-back. Both these offenses trying to take advantage of 4 downs, unable to capitalize. Western Kentucky doing a good job of regrouping because it seemed as if Kentucky had a little bit of momentum before that timeout he took to Randy Sanders. Gave them a little bit of an opportunity for Lance Guidry and his crew to regroup, cost Kentucky to turn it over on downs.
Now the Hilltoppers have it again. K1 Jakes, the senior quarterback out of St. Augustine, Florida, complete to Willie McNeil. McNeil, the #1 receiver a couple of years ago, but last year injured his knee in spring, had to redshirt. Makes the catch there, picks up 10. First down for the Toppers.
You see the Toppers airing it out in this ball game. In fact, coming into it a little bit surprised given the woes that Kentucky's had stopping the run so far this season. But Jakes is having some success in the air, some high percentage throws. He threw into traffic earlier. And Willie McNeil's the type of guy that can get out in space for the Hilltoppers and make a play.
He said that this is a Harbaugh-influenced power running game, the 12th running play for Western Kentucky, and it's a first down carry again for Antonio Andrews. Give him 11.
We talk about Jack Doyle and what a great pass receiving tight end he is. He does an excellent job at the point of attack, allowing his runners to capture the edge. If they're able to do both in this offense, if you're able to run the ball downhill and with the weapons that they have at tight end, all that does is stress this Kentucky defense and specifically their second-level linebackers with some new faces.
Andrews in the backfield. They give it to him again. And he'll pick up about 4 yards on that carry as Huguenin makes the tackle. Let's go down to Allison Williams.
Well, guys, Willie Taggart is very close to the entire Harbaugh family. He talks to John and Jim. He says about every week. In fact, he said he felt like he was part of the family from the time he met them. But look at the family there. It's Jack, his wife Joni, their sons John and Jim, and their sister Joni. So Willie doesn't really fit in. Well, to make him feel like the family he thinks he is, his wife calls him Jason, guys.
We'll change it to a J.
That's all it takes. You're one initial away from being part of a family.
2nd down and 7 for the Hilltoppers. Out of the gun, Jakes fires over the middle to the 35-yard line. There is Andrews. And in this offense, typical West Coast offense, if you're a running back, you got to have good hands.
You do. You think about like a Roger Craig in the West Coast offense, and you hear that term used so much. But because of the way they run, Jack Doyle does a good job. He clears out coverage, and underneath, there's opportunities. And that's where Jakes makes his hay in this passing game.
Got it at the 35 of Kentucky. Jakes steps out of a potential sack, and he'll pick up a couple of yards. Give him 3 before Mr. Cobble, the defensive tackle for the Wildcats, makes the stop. Boy, it's hard to miss Mr. Cobble down on the field. 6 foot, 331 pounds, built like a refrigerator.
Yeah, with a freezer on top. He's a big, wide body, and he spent a lot of time this offseason in the weight room. And they talked about coming back, knowing that what they would lose at the linebacker position. Did a good job getting pressure on Jakes, moving him off his spot.
Leon Allen back in there, dotting the I. 2 tights to the right. They'll give it to Allen on 2nd and 7. And it was stopped a few yards short of the first down. 3rd down coming up for Western Kentucky. It's a 3-4 base defense for Rick Minter in his 2nd year as defensive coordinator for Kentucky, the former Cincinnati head coach. Defense has been an issue through the first 2 games for the Wildcats.
It has been. It's had been for the past 3 years, really. They've had difficulty stopping the ground game. and specifically this year, giving up or allowing about 50% third down conversions. That's basically the clip that Western Kentucky has been able to generate on offense thus far this season.
Trying to convert on third down here, the Hilltoppers. On 3rd and 3, it's Allen. And he pushes the pile, gets the first down. Good run for Leon Allen. Let's go to the studio and Matt Schick for an update.
Hey guys, South Carolina taking on UAB. And DJ Swearinger's got it. The fumble recovery, the fumble return for the touchdown. 65 yards. Gamecocks lead 7-3 on the Blazers.
Dylan Thompson, his stock will continue to rise as we get a timeout called here by Willie Taggart. 3-0. Western Kentucky on top. 9:40 to go before halftime. Back in a moment.
Welcome back. Western Kentucky leading 3-0 over Kentucky. The Wildcats, already without leading rusher Raymond Sanders, held out of this game for a violation of team rules. Now dealing with an injury to their second leading rusher, Koshik Williams. He has a hip strain. They are continuing to work with him on the sidelines. But guys, he is questionable to return play.
Man. Yeah, and already Kentucky, their run game has been affected. 6 runs tonight, 14 passing plays. On 1st and 10, Western Kentucky deep in Kentucky territory. Now Jake's in trouble and hammered down. It's going to be a loss of 1 as Collins Ukwu, the defensive end, has become a big play D end over his 4 years in Lexington. Makes the hit.
That's exactly what they're going to need, too. This is an opportunity when you're running the football effectively, as Western Kentucky has in this drive. On a 1st down, you get down close to scoring opportunity, you take a shot on that 1st down, knowing that you've got 2 more downs to try to convert. And we've already seen tonight Willie Taggart not scared to go for it on 4th. They go right back to the running game, though, try to get back ahead and on schedule in the down and distance here.
2nd and 11. So Antonio Andrews give him 4. So now we can expect that Kentucky's running game is going to consist mostly of Jonathan George, the junior out of Lincoln, Alabama.
They're already short-handed coming into this ball game. They've been nicked up at tailback already this season. Josh Clemens has been unavailable. Sanders had to step up because Koshik Williams was unavailable last week, and now both of those rushers at a position where Kentucky wanted to get going offensively. But a big 3rd down for the Hilltoppers as they possess the football, and yet another scoring opportunity.
The tight end, Jack Doyle. Be close to a 1st down for Western Kentucky. All Sun Belt. Led Western Kentucky in catches last year, leading again this year. It's going to be a 1st down.
You can count on it. Yeah, 3rd down, it's a passing situation, and you see Jack Doyle. He just gets to the sticks and finds ways to get himself enough space. This quarterback to fit a football in there. Great hands and a big target at 6'6".
Actually going to spot it at the 12. So 1st down and 10 at the 12-yard line. Western Kentucky leading by 3. Andrews down to the 1. It's going to be 1st down and goal to go for Western Kentucky as Antonio Andrews. A nice carry for Western. One of the 3 guys who had to carry a ball around all week around campus because of the fumble trouble a week ago in Tuscaloosa.
No window dressing on that one, though. It's basically just running downhill, gaining yardage, big physical inside run. And Antonio Andrews, you know, it seemed like Leon Allen was going to grow into being the workhorse in this offense, but clearly Antonio Andrews able to establish himself early in this game.
12th play of the drive. Andrews, touchdown. He walks right in. And Western Kentucky has made a statement here in the 1st half in Lexington.
The Hilltoppers really asserted themselves, it seemed, on that offensive drive. It felt as if they were able to impose some of that physical nature of this rushing attack. It wasn't just power game. They're also able to capture the edge. Jack Doyle able to convert on a key 3rd down. And this was vintage Hilltopper offense. Excellent job getting the ground game going and picking your spots in the passing attack. K1 Jakes does a good job ever since that interception.
Garrett Schwetman tacks on the extra point. Second straight opponent from the SEC for Western Kentucky. Lost big to Alabama last year. No problem so far with Kentucky. It's 10-0 Hilltoppers. ESPNU College Football Primetime is brought to you by Avis. Beautiful pictures from horse country here in the Lexington area. Tell you what, Western Kentucky not horsing around tonight. Leading 10-0 with just over 7 minutes to go before halftime. In only its 4th year as a full-fledged FBS program, a win tonight against an SEC opponent for Western Kentucky Stinch would be monumental.
Yeah, it would have an impact, obviously, not only on the momentum of their season, but some recruiting implications for in-state. Western Kentucky may be able to start capturing some other recruits from within the borders of Kentucky.
The dynamic DeMarcus Sweat. He's fun to watch, even when the returns are short. All right, let's go back to the touchdown run for Andrews.
You know, a lot of new faces, and you'll see Malcolm McDuffin right here. He's just going to make a bad read. You reverse out. He seeks all the way inside. Avery Williamson, number 40, is you'll see in the middle of your screen. A more experienced player, they get washed down. No second-level support. Andrews just walks into the end zone. That's what happens sometimes. We've got new guys, inexperienced guys playing in key situations.
And capped a 12-play, 71-yard drive in 6.5 minutes for the Toppers. Jonathan George lowers his head. Not going to get much as Andrew Jackson makes the tackle. Andrew Jackson, you remember last year in the game in Nashville, looked into the camera and said, this is an SEC team? Kind of snubbed Kentucky. Even though the Wildcats won that game, they haven't forgotten that comment by Jackson. Right now, Western Kentucky has the lead, and George is stopped well short of the first down by the aforementioned Jackson, and now it's going to be 3rd and long.
Once again, unable to gain yardage on first down makes it very difficult. One of the reasons why Kentucky has had success on offense is that they've been able to move the chains, not necessarily in big chunks, but a lot of it has been success on 1st and 2nd down and not getting into 3rd and long, maybe even converting on those first 2 downs. You see here tonight, they're converting 1 of 5. 20% is not going to get it done here tonight versus Western Kentucky.
Smith downfield, intercepted again by Dowling. Making his way toward the end zone. Brought down inside the 5. Jonathan Dowling, his 2nd INT tonight, brings it back 34 yards. And Western Kentucky has picked off Smith 3 times now.
You see Maxwell Smith is just trying to get the ball downfield. This is not something that they've done very well so far this season. You see him once again, feels a little bit of pressure. Jonathan Dowling does an excellent job of reading the quarterback's eyes as he tries to get the ball to DeMarco Robinson. Maxwell Smith, he's having a tough night already tonight. Some frustration. We talked about his comfort level in the offense. So far tonight, hasn't felt comfortable in the pocket at times, and I think it's cost him in some of his decision-making with Jonathan Dowling. Excellent playmaker when the ball's in the air. Got burned a couple of times versus Alabama a week ago, but here tonight, able to come up big for the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers.
1st and goal from the 2, the fullback, Kadeem Jones. Did he get in? No signal yet from the officials. It looks like he's right on the doorstep. 2nd down and goal. Boy, Randy Sanders has to be scratching his head. 5 possessions tonight for the Kentucky offense. 3 INTs, a punt, and they turned it over on downs on the other one.
It's curious because they've talked about how Maxwell Smith has done an excellent job in his pre-snap reads, kind of predetermining where his best option is and knowing if it's covered where he can get the football to. One of his challenges last year, but that hasn't been the case so far here tonight with his pre-snap designation.
Andrews, his 2nd touchdown, and it looks like the same play he scored on last time. Walking right into the end zone.
You see Randy Sanders there recognizing They're not doing their own defense any favors, and Western Kentucky now able to capitalize. Earlier in the ball game, a touchdown negated by a penalty by the Hilltoppers, and now good field position, an excellent defensive play. Jonathan Dowling does a good job. You can see that power running game, and you've got 2 yards to defend or 1 yard to defend. Makes it hard to keep him out of the end zone.
Garrett Schwentman, the extra point. Antonio Andrews, 13 carries, 55 yards, and a couple of touchdowns. This one was easy from the 1 yard line out. Randy Sanders, the offensive coordinator for Kentucky, has some work to do to get things turned around here tonight. Jonathan Dowling, the transfer from the Florida Gators, who Willie Taggart thinks has All-American potential. We're starting to see that potential here tonight.
Absolutely. A couple of Florida guys talking about what they learned in that high school breeding ground down there. Lots of great talent to come out of Florida. And Jonathan Dowling, they've got some high expectations, and already he's made his presence felt in that defensive secondary versus a passing offense that much was expected and highly touted coming into this ballgame.
Quite a difference for Dowling. After a week, last week burned a couple of times. Alabama torched him for a couple of touchdowns. Tonight, 2 picks have helped Western Kentucky open up a very comfortable lead here, 17-0, late in the first half. It's a bad kick out of bounds. A penalty here on Western Kentucky as Hendricks Brakefield sends it out of bounds. There's Maxwell Smith. 3 interceptions thrown tonight. He didn't have any thrown in the first 2 games.
Placed at the 35-yard line. First down.
And you know, here's the challenge for Randy Sanders now is you've got a quarterback who's dealing with the tailback situation now. You're out your top 2 runners, and he's thrown 3 interceptions after already doing an excellent job. And you see the ability of Western Kentucky to capitalize off those turnovers. Now I think he needs to get him back into a rhythm, a couple of short, quick-hitting passes just to gain some confidence, because I think he's probably a little rattled.
And there is that short completion to Jonathan George, the last tailback standing at this point. Tumbles ahead. Keontae Young knocked him down, but it's a gain of 11, and that's maybe what Kentucky needs to get Smith in a groove here.
Well, the routes could have gone deeper. You see Maxwell Smith, though, able to go through his progression right there. The pocket was cleaner, able to check it down. It's key that he get a completion to get in rhythm.
We'll throw again here on 1st and 10. Caught by Aaron Boyd, the team's leading receiver. And steps out of bounds close to the 40 of Western Kentucky. Here's the Wildcats drive chart so far tonight, and it's unimpressive to say the least.
You could see them in a couple of different instances where the pressure cost them on both interceptions. In the punt, unable to get anything going so far offensively.
Smith gets rid of it. LaRod King, another catch. And he's going to pick up 6 yards. Tyree Robinson makes the tackle. The Kentucky running game at this point pretty much non-existent. Koshik Williams knocked out of this game with what appeared to be a thigh bruise or something of that nature, and Raymond Sanders being punished for violation of team rules.
You know, as explosive as they've been in the passing offense, haven't needed a lot from the running game, but it's instances like this ball game, 3 picks already in the air, but you'd want to have that to turn to.
Smith, shovel, well, underhand pitch to Jonathan George, and it's going to bring up 3rd and about 2. Gavin Rocker, defensive end, makes the stop.
I like the play call. Unfortunately, they get beat at left tackle, and you see Randy Sanders effectively trying to catch Western Kentucky running upfield. And now another 3rd down conversion opportunity. They've only been 1 of 5 so far, 1 of 6 rather so far tonight, an area where they had been much improved.
Smith complete, and it's a 1st down catch for the sophomore DeMarco Robinson. Yeah, you hit on it. Coming into the game, 48% on 3rd down. That was good for 33rd in the nation coming into the week. That's just their 2nd 3rd down conversion, however, here tonight.
Well, that's one of those where they were most improved.
Smith caught. LaRod King, did he stay in? Yes, beautiful catch by the senior LaRod King.
And you can feel this offense. Maxwell Smith's feeling it a little bit, and this is their opportunity. They're moving much quicker, not looking to the sideline, catching the Hilltoppers off balance.
First down and goal from the 8. Jonathan George, touchdown! Wildcats.
I like the formula. Great formula right there. We talked about it with Randy Sanders. What does he do with his quarterback on this possession? You get a check down, you go to Boyd, you go to King. He does a good job. The shovel pass gets stoned, but they're able to get in the end zone because they jump the football, catch Western Kentucky, rocked back on their heels. They were not aligned for that last touchdown run.
Craig McIntosh with the extra point. Boy, the Kentucky offense needed that. And Jonathan George caps off the drive. 7 plays, 65 yards in 2 minutes. And Kentucky's on the board for the first time. Well, if you don't get enough of my partner tonight, Matt Stinchcomb, you can always tune in to BCS Countdown, 6 Eastern on the U. Every Monday, our analysts will break it down. You'll be a part of it. A lot to talk about. BCS Countdown presented by Tostitos. Well, finally, a sign of life from Maxwell Smith. He was 6 for 6, 55 yards on that last drive for Kentucky. Before that, 9 of 16, 51 yards, and 3 picks.
Yeah, he's able to get the ball to some of his favorite targets. The 3 turnovers, they've been costly too, leading to scores tonight. They need Maxwell Smith to settle down, and he did, maybe at just the right time, because you could feel the pendulum of momentum swinging very much to Western Kentucky's sideline.
Craig McIntosh gets it into the end zone. Andrews is going to bring it out. An excellent return man. And gets it out to the 23-yard line. Let's go to Matt in the studio.
Guys, coming up at halftime, we will update you on the game in Knoxville between Florida and Tennessee. Auburn suffers a scare, but not a loss against Louisiana Monroe. And Virginia Tech upset again in the early season. All of that coming up at half.
All right, man, thank you very much. And speaking of Louisiana Monroe, almost get it done today against Auburn. You got to think that the Sun Belt Conference teams, including the Hilltoppers here tonight, inspired by the last couple of weeks of play by the Warhawks.
Well, we talk about Willie Taggart, a charismatic leader, a very motivational guy, can clearly use success by Louisiana Monroe to motivate his team here tonight versus an SEC opponent.
Western Kentucky leading by 10. Ground game has been methodical and effective. Look at Andrews moving the pile. Good run on first down. Give him 5 yards.
In on the tackle, Tristan Johnson and Kareem Henderson.
Antonio Andrews averaging 180 all-purpose yards through 2 games. It's 8th in the nation. A lot of that coming on the returns. He's a dynamic player for Western Kentucky. And they'll play fake it to him on 2nd and 5. There's Jack Doyle, the tight end. And it looks like he's going to be about a half a yard short of the first down, but he has been involved in the offense a lot here tonight, as we fully expect.
Excellent play fake. You know, we talk about that offensive drive.
Now Kentucky calling a timeout. They've got 1 left here in the half.
Well, offensive drive by Kentucky. Not only do you get points, it gives your defense a chance to hit the reset button a little bit. You already just had a quick change, the interception, the Dowling return to the 1 or 2 yard line. And already you could see, kind of feel things slipping away from Rick Minter in this defense. That long drive, not only are you able to get on the scoreboard offensively, but you're able to get the defensive coaches over there with that unit. We talk about their new faces at the linebacker position, help them kind of regroup, and then get a 3rd and short situation on the next offensive possession for the opposition.
There were some reports this past week that Joker Phillips and Rick Minter had a heated exchange after that Louisville game where things went so bad defensively. Both coaches downplayed it, but you got to think that there have been a lot of heavy discussions about how the defense is playing.
Well, I'm sure there was frustration. I think you could sense frustration on Coach Minter's part as well, as far as their inability to get lined up.
On 3rd and 1, a first down carry for Antonio Andrews. A 5-yard carry for Andrews. Nellums finally brings him down, but the Hilltoppers will move the sticks again with just over 2 minutes to go here in the half.
3rd and short, exactly where you want to be able to get. They did an excellent job of getting there. First down, they didn't have a whole lot of success. These Hilltoppers, because of the way they're oriented on the ground, you get them 3rd and short, they can convert.
Jakes, I don't know if that was a busted play or not, but he takes a loss of 4 yards on the play.
I think he got the snap early. Jakes didn't look like he was ready to get the snap. A little miscommunication with the guys up front. Sean Conway is a veteran guy at the center position. I think he snapped the ball early. Everybody else wasn't ready.
So now 2nd and 14. Play fake. Jakes dumps it off short to Kadeem Jones, the fullback. And he'll get a handful. 3. Miles Simpson makes the tackle. Simpson, a very important position in Minter's defense. He's a hybrid safety linebacker, and this is the position Winston Guy played last year.
See Miles Simpson, another one of those guys that they've moved over as a running back. They convert him over to the kind of hybrid safety linebacker position. They need to give that a name in this defense because it plays such a key role. Makes an excellent job in the open field tackle. They like him. He's a heady player, and he's learned to play with his hands more. They're going to need him to, especially in a matchup like tonight because of this downhill running attack.
Kentucky out of timeouts here in the half as a 3rd and 11 is coming up for Western. Remember last year, this game between these two was very close. It was played in Nashville. 14-3 the final, but it came down to some important plays in that 4th quarter. Newton, big run here. Now he's the backup quarterback for Kentucky. And hit LaRod King for a touchdown. Willie Taggart and the Hilltoppers, great effort, but they came up short. Feeling better this time around. Inside handoff to Andrews. Hit, drop, 4th down. Alvin Bud Dupree makes the tackle, no gain.
Waiting to call his name tonight. Bud Dupree is a playmaker for Kentucky. Part of the reason why they've moved him to the will linebacker spot. He will play on the line of scrimmage some in the 3-4 type of look. But they know that he's a playmaker. They needed more production out of that will spot. He comes up and makes a big key tackle, 3rd and long on a draw play. They're able to get a punt away from Western Kentucky and see if they can't move the ball with some time to work with for Maxwell Smith on offense.
Kentucky won't have a lot of time. Already under 40 seconds to go before halftime, and Kentucky out of timeouts. DeMarco Robinson waiting at the 25-yard line. And now timeout called here by Western Kentucky. And they're out of timeouts too.
You can see Coach Taggart. He's telling everybody just calm down. I called timeout. Relax. Nothing was wrong. You could see Hendricks Brakefield was a little concerned with what happened. Coach Taggart had to coach him up on some of the strategy. Run the clock down. This is where it's unfortunate because you have to burn your timeouts. It takes away the middle of the football field. You got to work the edges. Certainly try to get yardage in chunks. Something that Maxwell Smith in this offense has had difficulty trying to force the ball downfield.
Willie Taggart is a hot young coaching commodity in Bowling Green. He created a little bit of a stir on campus in Bowling Green this week when he criticized his students at Western Kentucky for wearing Kentucky apparel.
Yeah, I think maybe he was just trying to make sure they were paying attention. Make sure the fan base is listening sometimes. He certainly got their attention, maybe not exactly the way he intended.
First punt for Hendricks Brakefield tonight. Low snap, gets it away. Robinson fields it over his shoulder and gets it to the 34-yard line. Just 22 seconds on the clock for Kentucky. Well, there's a new late night show on ESPNU, and it's the perfect nightcap to your sports day. Danny Cannell, Reese Waters, and Marion Ellen on U-Night, ESPN's first late night entertainment show, Monday at midnight on ESPNU. Have you had a chance to see that yet?
I don't stay up that late. I fall asleep around 9 o'clock. I got 3 kids.
You might be surprised by this. Danny Cannell, very funny.
I'm not surprised by that. Danny's a hoot. That guy's he's quick on his feet. Needed to be at FSU as a quarterback, and he certainly does a good job in the middle of the night on that show.
All right, 1st down and 10. No timeouts for the Wildcats. Smith, incomplete. 19 seconds to go. That one intended for DeMarco Robinson.
You know, that was the idea coming into this possession. You know, with Smith, you live to fight another day. Already threw 3 interceptions. You try to hit maybe a quick hitter. DeMarco Sweat was able to catch a short screen pass last week and take it to the house. I don't think that they try to force it downfield here. maybe break a tackle and get upfield, but I don't think that they're going to throw deep.
He'll send 3 receivers to the right, and he'll sprint out that way. Max Smith, 15 seconds to go. Lofts it out of bounds. And a penalty flag. I think Xavier Boyd threw a late hit.
Personal foul, roughing the passer on the defense. That's a 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. First down.
That's not going to make Willie Taggart happy as Xavier Boyd threw a late hit.
And nothing to be happy about. Clearly released the football. And in this situation, it's an incomplete pass, but a free first down and a half. And now maybe you do start taking some shots. The fact that you're within striking distance. Maxwell Smith, see if they can't fit the football down the field. With 12 seconds yet left to play here in this half.
He's spotted at the 49 of Kentucky. Smith comes short, crossing route for Robinson. First down, more to the 30. They don't have any timeouts. They've got to stop the clock to move the chains. 4 seconds to go. They've got to hurry.
Hustle up. There's time enough to clock it, though. They got to get set before, as soon as that ref blows it in play.
And he'll spike it. 2 seconds to go. Now they're in pretty good field goal range here to maybe take a shot at the end zone, or do they bring out the field goal unit?
Now you kick a field goal right here. How huge is the personal foul? Unbelievable turn of events. When you're able to get that free 15 yards, and then you hit a nice hitter. We talked about it. Maybe you throw it underneath and let DeMarco Robinson make a play.
Craig McIntosh coming on. He's got a miss from 45, a make from 47 this year, and he hits here from 47. As time expires in the first half, Kentucky with a little momentum going to the locker room, now down just a touchdown.
That's a huge momentum swing. Great that Kentucky can get that done. Gives them something positive to talk about at halftime. That penalty bode huge right there, but excellent job clocking the football. That's a situation that you practice. They executed it very well.
10 unanswered points by Kentucky. Let's go down to Allison, who's with Willie Taggart.
Coach Taggart, a tough end defensively to the half for your team, but you do force 3 turnovers, 2 of them interceptions by Jonathan Dowling. What did you have to say to him?
Just tell him to keep playing ball and stay focused. You know, we knew he's a tremendous talent, and he can make those plays for us. We just tell him to stay locked into the game, and it's going to be a long ball game. We're going to need some more of those in the second half.
What do you tell your defense after giving up the 10 points late?
Well, we just got to be smart. We gave up a little. We just got to be smart. You know, we can't give up a personal foul there and give them a chance. They didn't have any timeouts, and we give up that. You know, we just got to lock in and learn to play under pressure.
Up by 7 at the half. What's your message?
Oh, we got to learn to step on people's throat when we have them down. As a young football team, well, our football team growing, that's something we hadn't done, and it's something we need to learn, and tonight will be a great night to start.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
There goes Willie Taggart. As he likes to say, he's keeping it country, and his team has a 7-point lead. Let's go to the studio now. Matt, Charles, and Tom.
Thank you, guys. Matt Schick here at halftime with Tom Luganbill and Charles Arbuckle. Western Kentucky 0-15 against SEC opponents. This will not help that hot seat, if there is one, with Joker Phillips.
You know, Louisiana Monroe's got everybody in the Sun Belt all aflutter, so excited about the opportunity to compete against the SEC. Hey, give it to Willie Taggart's ball club, but also fault Kentucky from the standpoint of turnovers. Max Smith keeps turning that football over for the Wildcats.
Yeah, and also Kentucky early on didn't play very good defense. They tightened up finally. So if you're in that situation, you better play better defense in the second half and protect the football.
Late field goal there provides that deficit at halftime. All right, other SEC action going on right now as we speak. Florida and Tennessee in Knoxville. Yeah, Florida has owned this series. Finally, a top 25 matchup between these two teams. Been since 07 since that's happened. Trey Burton, though, starts it out for Florida.
A little wrinkle. That came off that turnover from Tyler Bray. Throws an interception there in the first quarter.
But then Bray gets Tennessee on the board. Cordero Patterson, he's not bad.
It just doesn't drop anything. And if you get inside that big body, he's going to hold on to it.
Then Bray again to Rivera for the touchdown. Tennessee up 14-7. And then a goal line stand here. Gillislee stopped in the backfield by Tennessee. Florida would kick it 14-10. Now Tennessee with a lead 20-13 in the third quarter. Alabama and Arkansas Tyler Wilson put on the baseball hat. It's not a baseball game. He was not playing after that concussion from last week, and it didn't really matter. Alabama, Eddie Lacy 6 yards out, and then A.J. McCarron to Amari Cooper for the touch.
The best thing about Alabama, the balance today, 225 yards passing, 213 yards rushing. 225 yards rushing, 213 passing, and their defense all over the place.
Yeah, Brandon Allen, the freshman, gets picked off, one of 2 picks. Hashawn Clinton-Dix with the pick. They'd score. They're up 24-0. Then Eddie Lacy 10 yards out.
Wow.
52-0 as Alabama takes out Arkansas. Well, Auburn and Louisiana Monroe, and we pick it up in the 4th. 28-14, and Colton Browning to Harley Cieno for the touchdown. 28-21, then Browning to Harper. Is ULM going to do it again?
Is there a better quarterback right now in college football than Colton Browning for Louisiana Monroe? Look playing lights out.
Look how quick he got that ball out.
Go to overtime a week after knocking off Arkansas. Justin Manton for the lead in OT. 37 yards, no. In the replay, it looks like Angelo Blackson might have gotten a finger on that one. And then Auburn. They run a play, send out their kicker, because they have confidence in their kicker. Cody Parkey, 35 yards. They avoid the upset, 31-28. And safe to say, this was a game Auburn had to have.
Had to have. You look at the next couple of weeks, Tyler Wilson should be healthy. Back for Arkansas. Can they regroup? Go on the road versus Ole Miss, facing off versus Texas at home tonight. On the back end of the schedule, on the road at Alabama, of course, in the Iron Bowl.
Avoid their first 0-3 start since 1950 as they take out the Warhawks. Well, Nebraska and Taylor Martinez hosting Arkansas State. First half, no score. Martinez to Amir Abdullah. Rex Burkhead not in this one. He missed last week's game as well with that sprained knee, but Abdullah gets it down inside the 5. It would lead to a touchdown. Then Martinez to Kenny Bell. Gets into the end zone. Nebraska up 21-3. Now, Nebraska head coach, this was the story of the game. Bo Pelini had to sit down at one point, gets his pulse checked in the second quarter, did not return from the locker room in the second half, actually was taken to the hospital with flu-like symptoms. Amir Abdullah on the carry in the second half gets the touchdown. Nebraska goes on to win 42-13, and Bo Pelini sent a text to the Nebraska Sports Information Department. They relayed it to the media. His text was, "They ran some precautionary tests on me and everything checked out fine. I plan to be back at work tomorrow. I'm proud of the way our coaching staff and team responded." So Bo Pelini, healthy. Nebraska got some health back today. Virginia Tech, though, ailing after today. Upset in Heinz Field. We'll show it to you. The Trojans trying to get some revenge on Stanford. In fact, the Cardinal has owned them. 3 straight wins, 4 of their last 5. Silas Redd trying to change that.
Yeah, Silas Redd, a huge addition to this offense. Both teams methodical in their philosophy so far in the first quarter. Balanced run to pass for both ball clubs.
Stanford going to lean on Stephon Taylor, and here 59 yards.
This is the problem with USC. Defensively, how do they hold up on the front end against a power rushing game? Right there, Stephon Taylor shows you. Not so good.
USC on the doorstep, tied at 7 at the farm in the first quarter in Palo Alto, as Silas Redd with the touchdown for the Trojans. Both running backs into the end zone. Well, Virginia Tech, this is an all too common thing for the Hokies. An early season loss, an upset loss. Frank Beamer, one of the best in the game. The 13th ranked Hokies, though, had some issues. Ray Graham, he's back.
Not only was he back, but so was true freshman joining him, Russell Shell. Huge day on the afternoon.
Show him in a minute. Logan Thomas, though, picked off by Jason Hendricks. 3rd interception of the half for Logan Thomas. Second half, Kaishan Jarrett. Oh, there's a block there. Jarrett gets free for the score. Virginia Tech down 11, but you said it, Russell Shell.
What a powerful performance for the true freshman. And keep in mind, Paul Chryst, used to having that multitude of backs to go to while at Wisconsin, trying to build that stable here at Pitt.
Well, getting Tino Sinceri comfortable right there. When you run the ball, it makes it great for the play-action game.
Virginia Tech played like Pitt the first 2 weeks.
Sinceri finds Shanahan for that final score. And yeah, they go on to win this one 35-17, and you've seen it. Virginia Tech's early struggles. Boy, the only reason that didn't happen last year, that was October 1st when they lost to Clemson in 2011. August and September, stumbling blocks for the Hokies in the early season. No stumble today for Florida State in the ACC. My goodness.
Yikes.
Chris Thompson. Season-ending injury last year. There it is. Broke 2 vertebrae in his back, would be out for the season. Today, he's healthy, I think it's safe to say.
Oh, without question, huh?
Got a new number also. It said, okay, I'm going to show you. Florida State didn't have a run game. Y'all talk about Warwick Dunn. 21.9 yards per carry, because he only had 9 of them.
74-yard run there. They're up 21-0. Then Thompson again.
Repeat.
Oh, good to be healthy.
B button, B button.
You play too many video games.
Great block downfield. When you have that happening, who's not going to score? Look at the official.
Look out.
The ref tried to.
Wow. What about the rule against hitting the defense's coach?
Can't keep up with him. 52-0. Thompson had 197 yards, by the way. Clemson, Furman, no problem. 41-7. Taj Boyd with a couple of touchdown passes. Ellington, a couple of touchdown rushes. Sammy Watkins in his first game back looked like he'd been back for a while.
Like a bolt of lightning.
And that sets up a great matchup next week, Clemson and Florida State. But Antonio Andrews for the touchdown. Western Kentucky leading now 17-10.
All lives on ESPNU. Our experts review the big wins and devastating defeats and look ahead to the top matchups.
This is the biggest game of their season right now.
College Football Daily. Weekdays at 1 on ESPNU.
Top 20 matchup in East Lansing, and Notre Dame strikes first. Everett Golson, he's starting, he's throwing. Look at the gun, and John Goodman making the catch. Flag on the defense. 36 yards, 7-0 Notre Dame midway through the first. College Football Daily, Monday through Friday, 1 o'clock Eastern Time. News, headlines, in-depth analysis, the latest. It's on a daily basis. That's why we call it that. We're back on Monday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPNU.
We've all been on that show.
You have?
Yes, good show.
Oh, it's a great show. We're a little biased. Jonathan Dowling with the pick for Western Kentucky. They're up 7 on the Cats. In Knoxville, Tennessee with a 20-13 lead. Just a few minutes to go in that third quarter. Tyler Bray, a couple of touchdowns. Also an interception. Cordero Patterson with a touchdown as well. Just a few minutes to go. Up on the Gators by 7. Jonathan George, Kentucky's lone touchdown. It was a big one as they're only down 7 at half.
Welcome back to college football on ESPN, presented by 5 Hour Energy.
Don't go wasting lightning. Don't go wasting time.
Welcome back to the SEC on ESPN. Beautiful night here in Lexington, Kentucky. Wildcats, another slow start. Now behind 17-0 to the Hilltoppers. Finish strong in the half. And it's 17-10 as we get ready to start the third quarter. Let's take a look at the first half stats. And Matt, it's been a tough night so far for the starting quarterback, Maxwell Smith of the University of Kentucky.
Yeah, you see it, unfortunately, with his 3 interceptions. Came in clean as a passer as far as turnovers were concerned. Certainly cost his team on the scoreboard, resulted in 10 points for Western Kentucky. But he rebounded really nicely after that final interception. They were able to punch it in for a touchdown. They answered right back with a touchdown of their own.
Here's one of the touchbacks that Joker Phillips is looking for. Western Kentucky will start at the 25. Matt Stinchcomb, Clay Matvick ready to get going here in the second half. And Maxwell Smith had only 4 career interceptions before the night, and he had 3 in the first half. Like you said, once he settled down, things started to change for Kentucky.
Yeah, he got into a rhythm a little bit. The ball was coming out very quickly, something that we talked about so far this season. He's been very decisive earlier in the ball game. You could see holding the ball a little bit longer, maybe wasn't as clear in some of his reads, forced the ball into some spots where he probably otherwise wouldn't wanted to, and resulted in turnovers. But in 2 consecutive drives, he rebounded really well.
1st and 10 from the 25. K'Wan Jakes and the Hilltoppers going to work. Good run on first down for Antonio Andrews. Andrews picks up 7 on first down there. He had 17 carries for 67 yards and a couple of touchdowns in the first half.
Andrews really establishing himself. We talked about a little bit Willie Taggart's time at Stanford with Toby Gerhart, led the nation in attempts, and then for 2 years straight with Bobby Rainey at the tailback position. Because they are run-oriented, you want to get the ball in between the tackles with power. Well, you got to have a workhorse. Coach Taggart's not scared to feed a guy. You see Andrews tonight getting a lot of carries.
So 2nd and 4. The 31. They run it again. That's what they do, and they do it well. Power running game. Gets it out to the 40-yard line. It's a 9-yard run for Andrews.
Test in the middle of this defense. We talked about it in the first half. Kentucky got back on their heels a little bit. They were getting gashed in the run game. They had a quick strike touchdown for a run on a 2-yard field off the interception by their own offense. Then they seem to be able to regroup. They want to be able to establish themselves early in this half as well, because Western Kentucky's done a good job passing the ball so far this game.
177 yards of total offense in the first half for Western. Give it to Andrews. Good solid 5-yard run before Avery Williamson had an interception in the first half where Kentucky brings him down. And we talked about the Kentucky defense, the trouble in the first 2 games against Louisville. Gave up 466 total yards of offense, 406 yards total offense last week to a Kent team that really has struggled in recent years moving the football.
You know, right now they rank towards the bottom, 13th in the SEC in total defense. Only Auburn has numbers that are worse, and they faced already a Clemson and Mississippi State team.
Jakes has been good throwing the football so far tonight, and he's complete here. Into Kentucky territory, Marcus Vasquez with a 17-yard reception.
A great job working on Nellums, one of the fastest players for Kentucky. Way too much cushion, and you see Nellums, he's making the transition from to the cornerback position. Taylor Wyndham getting there just at the end. Jakes does a good job keeping his eyes downfield, delivering the football.
Jakes has only had one of his passes not complete to a Hilltoppers receiver, and that was the interception he threw that Williamson picked off in the first quarter. He is 10 of 11. He's going to throw here. In trouble and sacked. Brought down at the 49 by Ukwu. That's a loss of 10. Collins Ukwu, the senior out of Laverne, Tennessee, with a big play.
Big tackles for a loss. Obviously puts him in a very, very challenging situation. Collins Ukwu is a guy they keep waiting to emerge. He's been solid. They want him to be explosive. Kadeem Jones wasn't able to get much on him, and Collins Ukwu gets upfield quickly. This is not a comfortable situation. We talk about how well they've thrown the football, but ultimately Jakes doesn't want to be facing a 2nd and 17. I think he'll look to maybe just gain a little bit of time.
And he will. Andrews, good run after the catch up that sideline before he's collared and brought down by Cartier Rice, first-year starter at corner. That's a gain of 15, and now it's a little bit easier to stomach here for Western Kentucky. 3rd down and about 4 to go.
Neither team's been great on 3rd down here tonight. You see there less than 50% and 3 out of 7 opportunities. But this might be one of those situations where even if you don't convert, get it close to the sticks and then go for it on 4th. We've already seen an attempt on both sides of these offenses willing to go for it in 4 downs.
Andrews, first down run. I've been impressed with him tonight. That's a gain of 5. They'll move the sticks. 90 yards on the ground now for Antonio Andrews.
Coming into the ballgame, we knew that Andrews was a big all-purpose guy, 180 yards a game in the return game, as well as a position player in their offense. He's done an excellent job. We talked about Coach Taggart. He gets a hot hand, finds a running back running the ball well, and he keeps feeding him. We've seen that with Andrews so far.
Keep it on the ground. It's Andrews again. And he'll pick up about 4 yards. Bud Dupree brings him down. Let's look at the play selection tonight so far for Western Kentucky. Again, it's a power run offense. That's reflected here so far. 32 carries, 12 in the air.
You know, in fact, it might be a little heavier run than they typically are. It's a pretty balanced approach. They get a lot of their yards in their ground game. But 32-12, when you're able to run the ball effectively between the tackles, keep the ball out of the air, they've done a good job with it so far this drive. Kentucky needing to bow their necks versus the run offense.
A lot of shifting before the snap. That's typical of this offense, too. Now Rico Brown, deep, lunges ahead. It's now close to a first down. It's going to bring up 3rd and short as Cartier Rice makes the stop.
You see a lot of them, they trade motion. They'll swap the strengths around, and they'll also hit you on the edge. Andrews has done a good job in the interior portion of Kentucky's defense. Now let's hit something outside. Rico Brown, a speed player, get him out on the edge. Defenders get a little nosy into the box. They're unable to cover the width of the football field.
There's Antonio Andrews. He's doing a pretty good job now that Bobby Rainey's on to the NFL. He carries it here. Another first down for the Toppers as he bangs his way to the 15-yard line. Andrews and this backfield for Western Kentucky, there were a lot of questions about it because Bobby Rainey was the all-time leading rusher for Western Kentucky. Goes on to the NFL. Who's going to carry the mail this year for Western? That was a topic in August. Well, it looks like Andrews is doing a pretty good job along with Leon Allen.
Well, Leon Allen was getting the bulk of the carries, but as a true freshman, I think they probably had to know what spread it around. Andrews had some success early in this ball game. And he's clearly been the horse on this drive. Now let's see if they try to get Jack Doyle involved now that they're in scoring territory, having established a run.
Doyle stays to block. Stepping up is K'Wan Jakes. He'll slide ahead for a gain of 3, 2nd down.
You know, I like what Coach Taggart has done with this drive so far. It makes it easier, of course, when you're successful with your ground game, mixing it up, gets it outside to Rico Brown. You've been successful on a couple of 3rd down conversions. Why not take a shot in a pass play on 1st down? Jakes does a good job of pulling the football down, not forcing it in the end zone. Certainly want to come away with points here.
2nd down and 8 from the 13-yard line of Kentucky. Takes away from center, looking to throw. Throws it to the end zone. Touchdown. Willie McNeil. What a drive for Western Kentucky.
Jakes has been incredibly consistent tonight. We love what he's done. Even on the interception, it's off a tip ball, threw it into traffic. Other than that, he's been on the money and on time. Love the balance. Love the entire ingredients of that drive. And Kentucky defensively not starting this half the way they would have liked. That was a very impressive march down the football field to score.
Extra point by Schwetman. A 12-play, 75-yard drive for the Hilltoppers in just under 7 minutes. Very impressive opening drive for Western Kentucky. They're 4 for 4 in the red zone after that Jakes touchdown pass. You got to tune in to College Football Daily. It's your destination for the latest reports and comprehensive analysis. College Football Daily, weekdays at 1 on ESPNU. K'Wan Jakes, 9 for 9, 94 yards and a touchdown pass since throwing the interception back in the 1st quarter.
He's done an excellent job. You can't say enough about it, and it's been complemented by a steady rushing attack. You see Andrews on the drive, 33 yards rushing, also contributing in the passing game as well. Talk about his all-purpose contributions, but Jakes doing excellent job operating this offense, taking their opportunities where they present themselves in the passing game, and it's quintessential West Coast style, Stanford type of offense. Watch it on Sundays with the 49ers.
Remember how Stanford used to dominate time of possession last year with Andrew Luck, especially running that offense? We're seeing that here tonight. Time of possession, it's a 16-minute advantage for Western Kentucky here tonight. Jesse Roy kicks it off to Marcus Sweat on the return for Kentucky. Ball comes loose. It looks like the Wildcats recover at their 30-yard line. And yes, they did. All right, let's go down to Allison. It looks like the Kentucky offense needs to respond now, Allison.
Yes, and looking to continue the success they had at the end of the first half. And Coach Phillips said the difference in those few drives was they got out of their own way. He considers them to have 4 turnovers, including the loss of downs to start the second quarter. As far as the 3 picks by Maxwell Smith, he said the ball just got away from him. He has been accurate in the pass for them, and he expects him to be in the second half. The good news for the Kentucky game, which put up just 25 yards in the first half, Coach Sheik Williams is going to give it a go.
And he's out on the field right now. That's good news for the Blue. Team's leading rusher last year, but a penalty here against the Wildcats on that kick return, and they're going to march it back inside the 20-yard line.
We talk about this, how costly the penalties were for Western Kentucky. The 2 scoring drives, and they had a touchdown negated, and now Kentucky, a personal foul backs you up. You had halfway decent field position, knowing your offense has to answer.
We'll start at the 16-yard line on this series. Their first of the second half. Smith, quick fire to the outside. And DeMarcus Sweat with the catch. Short gain. Another flag flies in. SEC officiating crew tonight.
Personal foul on the defense, number 96. That 15-yard penalty is enforced from the end of the run. First down.
And you mentioned it. I mean, Western Kentucky with a couple of penalties in the first half that took points off the board. If you're going to pull an upset against an SEC team, can't hurt yourself.
And you see number 96, that's just uncalled for. You see him shoving the Matt Smith, the center, stalwart center for Kentucky. Totally unnecessary. You give the yardage right back to Kentucky and an automatic first down.
Defensive tackle Ramel Lewis with that penalty. 1st and 10 now from the 33-yard line. DeMarco Robinson into Western Kentucky territory to the 49.
We talk about this up-tempo offense. We also talk about those 2 drives that Maxwell Smith was able to put together. One was aided right before the end of the half, but when he had the scoring touchdown drive, it was on some quick hitting throws. He's able to get the ball out quickly where it's almost predetermined where you're going with the football. Robinson's the type of guy that make a guy miss and take it to the house.
After the 18-yard gain, back to the ground, and there is Williams, his first carry of the half, and it's not a good one. Andrew Jackson, the middle linebacker, shoots in, drops him for a loss of 3.
You know, when you watch film of Western Kentucky, you see number 4 on the defensive side of the ball. He does an excellent job of diagnosing runs and getting upfield. That's exactly what he was able to do from his Mike linebacker position.
He wasn't even on the 2 deep after spring practice last year. Kind of came out of nowhere. He was first team all Sun Belt a season ago. Now Smith on 2nd and 13. Holding and running out of time, and he'll fling it out of bounds. 3rd and long.
You can't say enough about getting behind, getting off schedule a little bit. That first running game, you try to run the football on first down, maybe gain some positive yardage. Instead, you end up with a negative yardage play, and it puts you in a difficult situation. Now 3rd and long on a short passing game. That's really been the only aspect of your offense that's been successful.
48% on the season coming into the night. Just 2 of 7 tonight on 3rd down. From their own 49. No pressure, a lot of time for Smith, and he uses it effectively. Aaron Boyd is going to be close to a first down.
Boy, he got a great spot. Man, did he get a great spot. Aaron Boyd, he's earned his way onto the football field. He got the first.
Wow. You're right.
That's pivotal. That was a heck of a spot that he got, but Aaron Boyd snagging that football. He looked well short of the first down. But nonetheless, they're going to jump the ball and go ahead and get a playoff.
They didn't even measure. So now 1st and 10 from the 38 of Western. Kentucky down 14. Jonathan George getting more work tonight because Raymond Sanders, the team's leading rusher, being disciplined tonight. Violation of team rules. That was announced about a half an hour before the game. I'm sure that kind of threw everything for Randy Sanders, the offensive coordinator for Kentucky, into flux. 2nd and 6. Caught at the 31. There's DeMarco Robinson again. He's going to be about 3 yards short of a first down. Xavier Boyd, the weak side linebacker, wrapped him up.
He's starting to get in rhythm again, though. You can feel it. He's done a good job. They started this series off trying to get him some quick completions, and it's working yet again.
Last 2 drives for Kentucky of the first half resulted in 10 points. This is their first drive of the second half. Got it at the 32-yard line, 3rd down and 3. Smith, again, time to throw, quick strike. There's Lerod King again, and he's got a first down catch. Xavier Boyd on the tackle. King, team's top wide receiver last year, averaged 15 yards per catch in 2011. And Maxwell Smith has a nice rapport with King.
Yeah, top 2 receivers coming into this game, Lerod King and Aaron Boyd. Back-to-back 3rd downs now where Maxwell Smith goes to one of those 2 receivers and is able to convert.
George in the backfield on 1st and 10 as Smith glances over to Randy Sanders. Sophomore quarterback out of Granada Hills, California. Hands off to George. Going over the left side, Ramel Lewis, the defensive tackle, brings him down after a gain of 4, 2nd down and 6. Max Smith has a lot of talent. We've talked to Randy Sanders about it. Loves his arm strength, thinks he can make all the throws. It's about experience. Maybe the only deficiency for Smith.
Yeah, and comfort, and that comes with experience. There's no way to accelerate it. You just have to play games. He was able to do it. He's been able to get more comfortable this series.
2nd and 7. King tiptoeing up the sideline, gets to the 15 and a first down. It's a good-looking drive for Kentucky.
Excellent drive. This is exactly what they needed. You know, there's a couple of hiccups early with the penalties. They were aided with penalties from the opposition. And ever since then, they've been earning it. A couple of runs here and there it is again on the ground.
George, little or no gain, 2nd down. Cole Tischer wraps him up. Lerod King now, 8 catches for 69 yards.
They're running it just enough to keep you honest, but ultimately the bulk of this drive has been on the backs of a quick-hitting passing game. The opportunity maybe to catch some of these DBs getting nosy.
Smith to throw it again out to the flat. George, the tailback, nice run after the catch, banging off of tacklers and into the end zone. Touchdown, Kentucky. Good opening drive for the Wildcats here in the second half.
Maxwell Smith, we talked about it the other day, gets comfortable in the offense. He also recognizes it's okay to find your back out of the backfield. DeMarco Robinson, nice awareness, gets a block just enough on Brett Harrington to get his ball carrier into the end zone. That was a very well executed drive. That's 3 drives in a row now where they've got excellent play out of the quarterback position. They're going to need that. They're going to work their way back into this ball game.
And Kentucky back within a touchdown with 3:33 to go here in the 3rd quarter. Jonathan George capping off an impressive Kentucky drive with his first career receiving touchdown. ESPNU College Football Primetime is brought to you by Vizio. Welcome to the PC Reimagined. Woodford Reserve, the oldest bourbon distillery in the state of Kentucky, located about 20 minutes west of Lexington, where we're at tonight. Both teams with good drives to start the second half. Kentucky getting a touchdown catch and run. The number 3 running back in their stable, Jonathan George, now has a receiving touchdown to go along with a rushing touchdown. Capping a 12-play, 84-yard drive in 4:21.
The quarterback seems to be settling down. 14 of 16 on their last 3 offensive possessions.
Antonio Andrews, he's dangerous in return, whether it be punt returns or kickoff returns. And he gets it across the 25 to the 27. BCS Countdown on the U Monday. Our analysts will break down the key victories and defeats from week 3 and discuss their impact on the standings. Who's going to rise, who's going to fall? BCS Countdown presented by Tostitos. We know Virginia Tech is going to fall after a loss to Pitt today. Paul Christ, his first win as head coach of the Panthers.
Yeah, that was surprising, too, because you see a Pitt team that seemed like it was in disarray the first 2 weeks, dropping a game to Youngstown State and then getting blasted by Cincinnati. Virginia Tech, they've got some problems. Looked real sloppy today.
And Florida up by a touchdown in the 4th quarter. K1 Jakes complete to Willie McNeil. There's a penalty flag. As this is going to come back.
Collins Ukwu did a great job of getting upfield yet again.
Block in the back on the offense. Number 52, 10-yard penalty. First down.
That's the left tackle, Cameron Clemens.
Cameron Clemens, he's replacing an all-conference performer. And Collins Ukwu was able to break containment. And you see, it's right there. It was more of a hold than a block in the back than anything else. Either way, same result. And putting his offense in a hole. This is reminiscent of the last touchdown drive that Kentucky was able to put together on offense. Their defense answered by forcing Western Kentucky to punt. It was their opportunity after getting worked on the first offensive possession to open the half.
1st and 20. And Andrews can't get away from Mr. Cobble.
That's one of the best names in college football, by the way. That's just a great name for a big defensive tackle. Look at him. Mr. Cobble, you think that guy's a space eater? Good job. He's gotten upfield a couple of times tonight. He did a good job there getting the ball carrier on the ground. That's a big one, 328 pounds.
That's his given name, Mr. It's not a nickname. With that said, he still has a nickname, Percy. You'd think with a name like Mr. Cobble, you wouldn't need a nickname, but he's got one.
You know what? He started out with a nickname. You got to go more run-of-the-mill with the Percy. I like it. It's a nice balance.
2nd and 20. Jakes, a little heat, throws it out to the flat to Jones, incomplete, but penalty flags down. And this is going to go against Western again. They're starting to mount.
Illegal motion on the offense. Player never got set. That penalty is declined. 3rd down.
You know, with so much motioning and shifting that this offense does, it's amazing it doesn't happen more often. They're already behind with the tackle for loss by Ukwu, only compounded by yet another penalty. You see a wholesale personnel change on the defensive side of the ball. Get some fresh legs in there and get after on the obvious passing down.
3rd and 20 for Western Kentucky. They have not had a 3-and-out this year. And flags everywhere in the secondary.
Illegal substitution on the defense. 12 in the formation. That's a 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
With all that running around, a lot of confusion for Kentucky, and they had too many men on the field.
Joker Phillips was irate. He knew it was on him. Can't believe that they let Western Kentucky out of the hole just a little bit. It's still well behind in the down and distance, but just totally unnecessary there at the last minute.
Now 3rd and 15, 22. Kentucky will rush 4. Jakes gets it off short to Andrews. And he is going to be stopped at the 30-yard line, well short of the 1st down. And it's going to be a punting situation for Western Kentucky. They have not had a 3-and-out before that, right here.
First time in 34 drives. That's pretty remarkable. Shows that they've done an excellent job. 1st and 2nd down, finding ways to convert when they get in 3rd situations. And it couldn't come at a better time because right now Kentucky's offense seems to be clicking really nicely with Maxwell Smith. The defense did exactly what they needed to do. Get a 3-and-out, get the ball right back to him.
Second punt tonight for Brakefield. Low snap. Brakefield comes up cleanly, gets it off. And a fair catch for DeMarco Robinson. The last 3 drives for Kentucky have resulted in points. Max Smith and the Wildcats on a bit of a roll. But they're still down in this football game by a touchdown with 1:20 to go here in the third quarter. We're back in Lexington to watch this Wildcats offense again in just a moment. Kentucky down a touchdown late in the third quarter as the Wildcats get ready to go back to work on offense at the 35-yard line. Maxwell Smith, which quarterback are we going to see on this next drive? He's had some bad drives and he's had some pretty good ones. On the last drive for Kentucky, went 7 of 8, 66 yards, and that touchdown pass to Jonathan George.
You know, he's been somewhat consistent all game long. He opened up very shaky, stayed shaky through the opening possessions, and then all of a sudden, once he found his groove, you've seen him. The numbers reflect it: 14 of 16, 142 yards. 2 touchdowns and a field goal, and his defense got him the football right back.
On 1st and 10, play fake. Smith got rid of it. Complete to Tyler Robinson, the tight end. And he gets it to the 45 of Western Kentucky, a gain of 20.
There's the tight end showing up. It's something that they wanted to get incorporated in the offense. He's able to evade pressure. This is what cost him the turnovers earlier in this ball game. Jackson rather, able to get in there once again.
Smith now 24 of 33. Going up top this time. And well incomplete, intended for Aaron Boyd. As Tyree Robinson was running right with him on the coverage.
You know, I like it whether you connect or not on this play, partly because they've hit so many shorter passes. They've had a lot of success. You know, the defensive backs for Western Kentucky are willing to allow the underneath routes. You got to stretch them eventually with a deep throw.
Shoots it out to E.J. Fields. That's his first catch tonight. The senior out of Frankfort, Kentucky. Will get a yard there as Brett Harrington makes the tackle. Of course, Harrington had one of those 3 picks in the first half.
Brett Harrington's had a couple of heady plays tonight. Now here on 3rd down, the previous series, it was time to look for LaRod King or Aaron Boyd. Those are his kind of security blankets when the situations arise on 3rd down.
He converted 4 of 9 on 3rd down. Smith gets it to Shields, breaks free. Did he get enough? It's going to be close. Very close to the first down. Gavin Rocker finally spun him to the turf, and yes, he got it. Great patience there by Smith.
And you see him spreading the football around. As I said that, neither Boyd or King were even in the game for that last 3rd down.
Final seconds of the third quarter. See if they get the snap off in time. They will. Smith looks to the outside, is complete. Caught at the 31. That's going to be a 4-yard reception for Fields, and that's going to do it for the third quarter. So 2nd down and 6 from the 31 of Western Kentucky to start the 4th. As Kentucky's offense took a while, it's come around. Western Kentucky's had a pretty good night at times, especially the quarterback, K'Wan Jakes. The Wildcats seem to have the momentum now.
Welcome to the SEC on ESPN.
Kentucky Wildcat faithful starting to feel a little momentum here for this Wildcats offense. Down a touchdown. They got it at the 31-yard line, 2nd down and 6.
Great down and distance, excellent field position. It's another opportunity for Maxwell Smith. You can swing it out wide. LaRod King at the top of your screen.
It's a tough start for Smith tonight, but he's catching fire. Now his 4th pick. Jonathan Dowling gets him again. Now he coughs it up. And Kentucky gets it back. Wow, the Wildcats dodging a bullet. Darian Miller coming up with the fumble recovery after Jonathan Dowling picked up Smith for the 3rd time tonight.
Maxwell Smith. Once again, Dowling does an excellent job keeping his eyes in the offensive backfield. He just runs right underneath the route. But the ball security, you see him fighting for yards. It just pops right back out of the ball, out of his hands. What a huge turn of events for Kentucky.
Jonathan George recovered it for the Wildcats. And now he's going to carry on 1st and 10 from the 36. And he'll get 4 yards. The 4th time that Smith has been picked off tonight, the 3rd time Dowling's done it, but the Wildcats dodge a bullet big time.
Big Darian Miller covering down. That's what those offensive linemen are supposed to do. And Jonathan George looked like to be the one to pop the ball loose.
That's after Smith had such a great 3rd quarter. He was 11 of 13 for 100 yards and a touchdown in the 3rd quarter.
Yeah, he's been in a nice rhythm, and unfortunately, you see Dowling's done a good job tonight reading him.
Almost intercepted again. Arius Wright will be thinking about that in his nightmares tonight. Oh, it was right in his hands.
And you can see Maxwell Smith. This is the 2nd time tonight. One resulted in an interception. We saw him afterwards coaching up his receiver. He's expecting Boyd to flatten his route out a little bit more. He's saying, look, you got to come across. I'm expecting you to stay on the gas. Boyd, he appeared to take his foot off the accelerator a little bit, almost cost his team another turnover.
3rd and 7. The worst thing that happened for Kentucky, the 3rd quarter came to an end.
It's the truth. They were on a nice roll.
And now the play clock down to 2. They've got to burn a timeout. They're disjointed again.
Lots of momentum, and unfortunately Kentucky with the quarter and now a timeout, starting to get stifled on offense once again.
24-17 Western Kentucky, early 4th quarter. In spite of themselves, this Kentucky offense still has a drive alive. 3rd and 7 at the Western 33.
And Maxwell Smith's got to keep in mind they can get yards here, come away with the field goal, but turnovers will kill you. 2 passes in a row, where one confusion with the receiver and the other just trying to force it in there.
Smith feeling the pressure, throws it into coverage again. Kareem Peterson draped all over Lerod King. No penalty flag. I think that was just good defense. Now 4th and 7.
Peterson does a good job just jumping as the ball arrives. I think it was timed just perfectly. Kareem Peterson's a guy who spends a lot of time in the defensive secondary as well. Jonathan Dowling has cost him some snaps with a great play there.
They're going to pass on a 50-yard field goal attempt and go for it here on 4th and 7. Smith, time to throw. Over the middle, incomplete. Peterson again covering Lerod King. And Western Kentucky's defense stands. They'll get it back on downs. ESPNU College Football Primetime is presented by 5 Hour Energy. Hours and hours of energy. Absolutely beautiful mid-September night in Lexington, Kentucky, home of the Wildcats, but Kentucky down a touchdown to their in-state rival from Western Kentucky. 13:54 to go here in the 4th quarter. Alongside Matt Stinchcomb and Allison Williams on Clay Matvick. And Western Kentucky takes over on downs at their own 33-yard line.
You know, Kentucky squandered an opportunity there. Really actually ended up getting lucky. A couple of near picks. One was a pick and got the football back, turned it over on downs.
Antonio Andrews, he's been the workhorse tonight for the Hilltoppers. He'll get 2 yards. All right, studio update with Matt Schick.
Hey guys, LSU has won 39 straight non-conference regular season games. The Vandals of Idaho giving them a game. Zach Mettenberger to Jarvis Landry from 7 yards out. 28-14 LSU at the half.
Glad you praised him.
LSU's at Auburn next week. And Auburn lucky to pull one out today, but that should be a much better attitude there around the Plains now that the Tigers get a win.
They needed a victory, that's for sure. War Eagles versus the War Hawks.
Jakes on the run, and it's incomplete, intended for Willie McNeil. The SEC West, now that Arkansas has lost a couple of games, what do you think about the way that's shaping up? Still a two-horse race?
Yeah, you know, it was a two-horse race that somehow or other, it was almost like it had a training wheel on it or something. There was a third wheel involved with Arkansas. That wheel's been removed. I think pretty decisively, Alabama pretty much pulled them apart limb from limb. And you know, ultimately it might come down to that LSU-Alabama matchup in November to decide who the best team is in the West and maybe the conference.
Well, Western Kentucky, which suffered its first 3-and-out on the last series, has a big third down coming up here. They decide to call a timeout and talk about it with 13:06 to go in Lexington.
College football.
Thank you. Kentucky fans fired up, getting behind this big blue defense after the timeout of 3rd and 8 in the Western Kentucky 35.
What we've seen tonight so far, you see this man right here? That's Jack Doyle. He's been a go-to guy for them in third down situations. To see if they try to find him here.
Jakes pressured, complete to Doyle, and he's going to be very close to that first down, but it looks like he's going to be just a bit short. As we get under 13 minutes here to go.
Well, that's why the tight end is such a huge weapon. You know, he delayed releases a little bit, and it's just enough time to gain some underneath space with the linebackers, and you had to know that Willie Taggart was going to be willing to go on 4th down, but they are in minus territory. This is quite a gamble if Kentucky's able to stuff them on this 4th down attempt.
4th and 1 from their own 43. Play clock already down to 5. They get the snap off, handoff, Andrews. He got it. Over 100 yards tonight, Antonio Andrews, and Willie Taggart gambles and comes up aces.
Well, we've seen this 2 weeks in a row, haven't we, Clay? Crunch time opportunities. Yep. You know, Louisiana Monroe, Arkansas last week, they go for it 7 or 8 times on 4th down. You see Willie Taggart confident in this power rushing attack, knowing that they can get 1 yard, and they were able to do just that.
Western Kentucky 119 yards rushing tonight. One bigger than that handful of yardage that Andrews just picked up. And he'll get it again. This time no room. Colin Zuklu, who's had a nice night for Kentucky, makes the tackle. And it'll be a yard pickup. ESPN College Football is available anytime, anywhere on your computer or mobile device. WatchESPN.com or the Watch ESPN app. Download it now. I know you your phone, I got it on my phone. What a tool. Watch ESPN app.
I don't even need television anymore, but I'm glad we got them.
Now,
You go blind looking at those little screens.
Let's not get carried away. We need a job.
I backed up just a little bit.
All right, 2nd and 8. At the Western Kentucky 47-yard line. Full house backfield. Leon Allen. Across midfield. Wrapped up by Avery Williamson. After a gain of 3, Williamson really needs to be the man in the middle for this defense. Boy, they lost a lot, especially in that linebacking core from a season ago.
You know, 3 of their top 4 tacklers gone. Avery Williamson, who's their #1 tackler at the linebacker position. He's the one that sets this defensive front. Not always easy versus Western Kentucky with all the motions that they use. And here we are, 3rd and 5. We'll see if they keep it on the ground or if it's Jack Doyle time again.
Jakes off his back foot, dumps it off to the fullback, Kadeem Jones. And Western Kentucky will again be short. 4th down and about 3 yards to go. Bud Dupree stepped up and made the stop there. Is Taggart going to do it again here? No, not this time.
He's going to punt it away this time. I think 4th and 1 in your own territory. He showed some confidence, but there's a little bit more meat on this bone. Opportunity to play some field position. He's got to like the way his defense is playing after that last offensive series for Kentucky with 2 near interceptions.
Hendricks Brakefield on for the 3rd time tonight to punt for Western Kentucky. Has a chance to really flip the field here and pin Kentucky deep. Decent kick. Fielded at the 8-yard line. DeMarco Robinson slips away and gets out to the 20. Maxwell Smith on the last Kentucky drive had some boo-boos, but it really didn't cost the Wildcats.
Well, I'm pretty sure that's not how Randy Sanders would have characterized it. You know, a bad route by a receiver, unable to get on the same page, tries to go back to Lerod King. Peterson does a good job coming up and making a play on the ball. Western Kentucky able to bow their necks, stop what could have been a scoring drive for Kentucky.
This is good to see for Kentucky. Koshik Williams getting a carry. He was knocked out of this game for a while earlier with appeared to be some kind of a leg injury, but gain on this play. Andrew Jackson and Jonathan Dowling, who's been very active tonight for Western Kentucky. Big number 1 combining on that stop.
Well, defensive coordinator Lance Guidry for Western Kentucky's got to be pleased with what he's getting out of the safety position tonight. Dowling making plays on the ball, but also coming up in run support.
Kentucky down a touchdown. Smith, plenty of time to throw. On 2nd down, it's complete to DeMarco Robinson. And he'll lunge out close to the 1st down. It's going to be a gain of 9. Keontae Young, the junior strong safety, brought him down before the marker.
And that's twice this half where Maxwell Smith has done a better job when he has to continue in his progression and manage the pocket and still deliver the football.
George picks up the 1st down. Montera Smith. The Kentucky line has done a pretty good job on it tonight. He had 3 sacks against Alabama last week. He's been pretty quiet tonight. He made the tackle, but it is a 1st down. 1st and 10. Kentucky on the move now. At their own 34-yard line. Smith complete. And a short gain for Gene McCaskill, a gain of 3. As Arius Wright, the true freshman, makes the tackle.
You know, it seems as if Western Kentucky's content to allow the Kentucky receivers to make these receptions 2 and 3 yards up the field and then get the tackle.
Plenty of time. Smith comes back to the near side and hits Lerod King. King with the 1st down reception.
What a nice catch by Lerod King. He keeps working across the football field to help his quarterback. And again, Maxwell Smith able to stay alive, keep his eyes downfield and deliver.
From the 47, George on 1st down. He'll be stopped at the 49 by Gavin Rocker. He is not a fast man, but he's got decent footwork, Maxwell Smith.
Yeah, you got a flush, and you see there's excellent protection by the front there. A little bit of late leak by Smith, but he's able to at least manage the pocket. That's what you need. You don't need to just break out and run a 4.2 40. Just keep the ball alive, stay away from the pass rush, and find ways to deliver the football.
7 minutes to go. Kentucky driving for the tying score. Jonathan George, 1st down and more, flipped up into the air and falls down at the 35-yard line of Western Kentucky. A 17-yard catch and run. He has been great tonight.
And he's needed to be. Coming into the game, no Raymond Sanders. Koshik Williams is injured for a time. And you see Jonathan George step up big, not only on the ground game, but also as a receiver. And this is something that they're going to need to do because of the fact that it's a quick cadence type of a passing game. Guys covered initially. You got to have somewhere to go with the football. And that's one of the things that they like about Maxwell Smith this season. He understands the protection. He also understands where he can go with the football. As you see, Andrew Jackson being helped off the field. That was a pretty big shot that he laid on Jonathan George. 2 big hits that Andrew Jackson was involved in.
Jackson gets to the sideline under his own power. That's a good sign for Western Kentucky. But he is the leader of that defense, and now they're on their heels a little bit. 1st down and 10 from the 35-yard line of Western Kentucky. Smith 31 of 45, 265 yards passing, and a touchdown. He does have 4 interceptions, however. He's going to throw again. They're going to try to heat from the backside. Got rid of it in time, but incomplete. Barry Boyd hammered Smith from behind. Never saw it coming.
The pressure has been getting a little bit closer. We've been talking about Maxwell Smith, his footwork, you know, his pocket awareness. You see there, Barry Boyd does a good job of dipping and ripping. Darian Miller's a guy that was forced into service last year. They like the way he's come along, but he's very athletic, still needs to grow in that left tackle position.
2nd and 10, George in the backfield. He's got 87 yards of total offense tonight, a rushing touchdown and a receiving touchdown. 2nd and 10, Smith to throw over the middle, incomplete. Just out of the reach of Gene McCaskill. 3rd down.
This has been the challenge for Kentucky. As you see Maxwell Smith work out some soreness a little bit on his throwing shoulder, it looked like. Trying to get completions down the field. This is a huge 3rd down attempt.
Need to get to the 25-yard line. 10th play of the drive. They started at their own 21. Smith sacked at the 45-yard line. Barry Boyd. Ball comes loose, but they call Smith down. And again, he is slow to get up. It's 4th down.
Well, you could see right before they got the snap off, big Kenny Martin was hustling off the field for Western Kentucky. They had a lot of guys standing up in the defensive front. I think there was some confusion as to who had who on the protection.
Believe it or not, the first sack for Western Kentucky tonight after they had 6 against Alabama last week. But it's a huge play at a big time, and Kentucky has to punt. Here comes Landon Foster. It's a kick from his own 41-yard line. Antonio Andrews standing at his own 10. Calls for the fair catch. It's going to sail into the end zone. And that power running game, which is so good at running out the clock, takes over at the 20-yard line. When we come back to Lexington, Western trying to run out the clock when we come back. Dr. Pepper, quest for the coach's trophy. Joker Phillips under some pressure this year after a losing season a season ago. The first time Kentucky hadn't gone to a bowl game since 2005. A 1-1 start this year. An embarrassing loss against in-state rival Louisville. And if a loss comes tonight against another in-state opponent, especially one out of the Sun Belt Conference, the pressure will only increase.
Absolutely it will. We talk about some of the recruiting implications. Just the implications on this season alone, if you look at Kentucky's schedule, it's pretty arduous road even after this one. We talked about it coming in. This was a must-win for Kentucky in their bowl aspirations.
Western Kentucky maybe 5-20 away from a monumental win. K'Wan Jakes on the naked boot keeps it himself across the 26-yard line. And here's Kentucky's schedule. We're looking at it. You know, you look ahead and you see maybe only one more gimme on the schedule, and that's Samford on November 17th. There really aren't any easy opponents for the Wildcats.
You've got a Florida team that seems to have figured it out when they went on the road versus A&M. A good game versus Tennessee today. South Carolina with Dylan Thompson. It's hard to find one. Maybe an Arkansas team who seems to be in disarray. Other than that, it only gets more difficult for Kentucky.
Clock moving, 4:42 to go. As you would expect, they'll keep it on the ground. Andrews will be about a yard short of the first down, so 3rd and short coming up. Western Kentucky 0-14 all-time against the SEC, as we showed you. 0-3 all-time against Kentucky. Last year, Kentucky escaped with a 14-3 win in Nashville, and the Hilltoppers right after the game said, wait till we get him next year. They've given him a great battle here tonight, and Willie Taggart maybe going to get his first win against an SEC opponent here this evening. 3rd and 1. Andrews Great effort. Got it. They'll move the sticks, keep possession, and they'll be able to burn more clock.
Clock obviously working against Kentucky. We've got timeouts to use at least this time around. We talked about right there at half, but the time of possession, Kentucky hasn't had the ball. I mean, you're talking about another 15 minutes that they've forfeited of opportunity of possessing a football. You better believe Western Kentucky is going to bleed down this play clock. This played right into their hands. We talked about it. If you turn this game into a grinder and it's close, it plays right into the Hilltoppers' offensive philosophy.
Andrews cuts it up. There's a cartwheel, picks up 3 yards. And Andrews, 112 yards rushing tonight on 29 carries. And a timeout. Kentucky, they've got 1 remaining with 3:17 to go.
Up.
There's a new late night show on ESPNU, and it's the perfect nightcap to your sports day. It's called Unite, right here on ESPNU. Comes on a little late for guys like Matt Stinchcomb, who's in bed by 8 o'clock. But for the rest of us, it's good nighttime entertainment. Now, that's true. If you get up, you can watch it
I can always
on a
watch
replay
it again.
in the morning. Yeah.
I don't want to miss out on the comedic stylings of Danny Cannell.
There's Willie Taggart, third-year head coach at Western Kentucky. Trying to be the second Sun Belt team to beat an SEC team in as many weeks. Andrews. It's going to bring up 3rd down and long for Western Kentucky. We heard it from these Hilltoppers. They were inspired by what Louisiana Monroe did last week against Arkansas.
Well, you know, coaches tell teams all the time, you know, anything can happen. Kentucky just took their final timeout. But what's curious is that teams don't always believe it. Sometimes you actually have to see a team come in and win. That's what Western Kentucky was able to see with Louisiana Monroe.
Western Kentucky, for tonight, had won 8 of its last 10 games. The 2 losses coming on the road at #1 LSU last year, and last week to #1 Alabama. This is a seasoned team for Willie Taggart. They played in some big environments. They were not intimidated coming into Lexington tonight, facing, well, what many would consider a lower level SEC foe.
And you know what? He kind of was a part of the rebuilding, or at least the emergence of the Stanford program with Jim Harbaugh. It wasn't as if the Stanford Cardinal were this feared team in the Pac-12, Pac-10 at the time. This is not the first time Willie Taggart has been a part of something like this.
Big play on 3rd down. Jakes, nothing. Gets to the 35, still well short of the first down, about 6 yards short. So now 4th down. As the clock is under 3 minutes to go, Kentucky is out of timeouts, and Willie Taggart is going to punt this ball away.
And here's the thing, you know, you look at Kentucky coming into this ball game, the punt returns. And you look back a year ago and you think about maybe 2010 and how good Randall Cobb and Derek Locke were as return men. 2011, they're 119th with less than 2 yards a return. And it's situations like this with a Randall Cobb where you felt like you can flip the field even with them punting the ball away. I'll be surprised if they kick it to him.
Breakfield, good punt. Robinson has trouble with it. Still having trouble. And knocked out of bounds at the 23-yard line. That could have been lights out for Kentucky. Maxwell Smith and the Kentucky offense coming back out. On that last series, Smith took a pounding. And that shoulder might be hurting him. Let's see if he can cut it out. College Football Daily, 1 Eastern, weekdays on ESPNU. Our experts will dissect all the storylines and breaking news from college football. And you might be talking about an SEC team going down to a Sun Belt team again for the 2nd time in 2 weeks. But there's still 2:14 on the clock. And Kentucky has the football. They've got a fairly long field to deal with here in a short amount of time. They're going to start at their own 23-yard line. The good news is for Kentucky, They're used to a hurry-up style. However, Maxwell Smith has been under pressure a lot today.
He has been, and especially on that last series, you can see the latter portion of it ratcheting up some of the pressure. It seemed earlier they were content to drop into coverage. They decided to come after the quarterback a little bit and try to make him move in the pocket.
Hilltoppers rush 2. They get it off to DeMarco Robinson. Good catch. Good run, close to a first down. And getting out of bounds, stopping the clock with 2:08 to go. Kentucky, no minutes. Western Kentucky has 2.
It's all boundary passes. If they ever get anything across the middle, you want to be able to make it all the way across the formation so that you can get back out of bounds.
Get in short. Smith. Deep down the sideline for Lerod King, incomplete. Let's go down to Allison.
Maxwell Smith trying to lead his team to a comeback, but doing so less than 100%. He was really grimacing last time he came off the field after taking that hit. The trainers went to work on him. He does have a bruised shoulder, his throwing shoulder, but when OC Randy Sanders asked him if he was coming back in, he looked him straight in the eye and said yes.
Had pretty good zip on that last incompletion, Allison. And here's Jonathan George trying to pick it up. And it looks like he got it. And the clock will stop on the first down to move the chains. 1:45 to go. As you look at Randy Sanders, there he is, the offensive coordinator for Kentucky.
Well, this is where he starts talking about the confidence they were able to build with Maxwell Smith in the spring. He's going to need it here on this drive, certainly. They've had difficulty throwing the ball downfield all night.
It is DeMarco Robinson again. Pushed out by Brett Harrington, stopping the clock with 1:26 to play. That's a pickup of 8, so 2nd down and 2 as Kentucky's moving in the right direction.
They're going to tic-tac their way down the football field. Western Kentucky's happy to do that. They're playing with a 7-point lead. They can always tighten as the field shortens. They've got field to give right here. Because of the position of where Kentucky has the ball, Western Kentucky has a lot of field to work with yet.
2nd down, pressure's coming from the edge, incomplete. We've seen Lerod King try to get open on that route a couple of times tonight. It really hasn't been that effective. Now 3rd and 2.
Well, that time, because of the underneath patterns, because of the success throughout the night, Maxwell Smith, they tried to catch him on a double move. Excellent coverage, did a good job with Lerod King. He's more of a big possession receiver than a speed guy.
3rd down here for Kentucky. 1:21 to go. Smith gets it off. George, the catch, first down. Steps out of bounds, but he picked up the first before he did. Gets it out to the 47-yard line.
Let's say enough about Jonathan George and his ability to step up at the tailback position. Not only a touchdown reception, but able to convert on a number of occasions. And here is the outlet receiver. But look for Maxwell Smith to try to find somebody downfield as the clock ticks down.
1st down, Smith going up top. Incomplete. DeMarco Robinson running with Brett Harrington. Harrington on that coverage. Clock stops with 1:09 to go.
Well, even if that ball's on the mark, Brett Harrington's running step for step with DeMarco Robinson, who is one of the deep threat type of receivers that Kentucky has. You see him take a shot on first. Now they have to start thinking about getting into the down and distance just to maintain this drive.
They need to get to the 44 of Western Kentucky for a 1st down. Lerod King in and out of his hands. Boy, that was a big problem last year for the Kentucky receiving corps, dropping balls, especially in big situations. There's a drop for the senior Lerod King.
And a big drop for Lerod King. He's been great. They've converted a couple of 3rd downs with him. They needed that possession there. Western Kentucky brought heat. Randy Sanders, perfect play call and rolling him out, buying his quarterback some time. Lerod King's got to help him out with a reception.
3rd and 10, and a timeout called by Western Kentucky. So the Hilltoppers defense wants to talk over some things. 1 timeout remaining for Western Kentucky. Again, the Wildcats have none left. 1:05 to go. So Western Kentucky, what is the strategy they're talking over here?
We see Willie Taggart's face. You think he's feeling any stress? Look, they've got a 10-yard field to defend right here. Obviously, they can give up a 1st down, but you can stand your defensive secondary on the sticks if you'd like. Know that you're playing in 4-down territory But you want to make sure that you keep the receivers in front of you, of course, because ultimately you want Kentucky to have to earn it. They're going to go for 2 more downs. And Willie Taggart knows, look, and they've been willing to do this all night long. Allow these receivers to catch the ball underneath and then make the tackle. They talked about it earlier in the week. I don't expect them to bring a whole lot of pressure right here. Allow them to play coverage. Keep these Kentucky receivers in front of them.
Kentucky 6 of 8 on 3rd down here in the second half. Big one here. Smith, deep down the middle of the field, has a man, threw it behind him. There's a late flag. E.J. Fields bumped by Kareem Peterson, the free safety. Huge penalty here.
Western Kentucky, they only rushed 3 and dropped 8.
Pass interference on the defense, number 14. That's a 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. First down.
The one thing you can't allow them to do is get behind you. Kareem Peterson, he felt like he had no choice. Look, it might be a touchdown if I just don't horse collar the receiver. E.J. Fields able to get behind the coverage. And once again, we saw this at the end of the first half. A big penalty.
Penalties killing it.
Giving Kentucky an opportunity.
Big penalties against Western Kentucky tonight. None bigger than that one. First down and 10. Now at the 39 of Western Kentucky. Clock down to 4 on the play clock. Smith heaves it up. Going for Boyd. More contact down there. This time no penalty flag. Great coverage by Tyree Robinson. 2nd and 10, 52 clicks to go.
Aaron Boyd's a big body, and this is a jump ball. Tyree Robinson does an excellent job of getting his hands on it as he dropped in there. A little bit surprised that Aaron Boyd was the choice to be running outside. He's a sure-handed guy. I'm curious that they would have him outside on the fly pattern.
10th play of this drive. Started at the 23 of Kentucky. 2nd down, Smith. Going deep again. Darryl Collins, incomplete. Arias right that time on the coverage as that Western Kentucky secondary really standing tall, and Smith gets to his feet, but it took a while.
Darryl Collins had a step, and he actually outran this pass. Pass was underthrown just a little bit. And Maxwell Smith, he takes a shot late by Boyd. Once again, it's Boyd getting in there, and he grabs his leg. Maxwell Smith playing on one leg, it seems, and a bad shoulder as they're trying to throw at least to get a first down with 46 clicks left on the clock.
Play clock down to 4. 3rd and 10, 45 seconds to go. Smith caught. What a catch. Darryl Collins. First down, Kentucky. At the 23-yard line. Clock stops to move the chains. Kentucky out of timeouts.
No timeouts, but 41 seconds to play. Ref just blows it in, so the clock is moving now, but there's time yet.
Smith stepping up in the pocket, rifles a shot, caught at the 10. Spins, touchdown, DeMarcus Sweat. You talk about crunch time. Holy cow. Kentucky goes 77 yards in under 2 minutes. And they have tied it up in Lexington.
What a gutty performance by Maxwell Smith. Managing the pocket yet again. DeMarcus Sweat was one of those guys. It's a burner, it's a big-bodied guy. See Maxwell Smith able to keep a play alive and deliver it to his receiver. And stays on his feet after taking a shot from Jonathan Dowling. But what a gutty play by their quarterback at Kentucky. Maxwell Smith earned it. Look at him hobbling off the football field. Can't celebrate too much with that right arm. Took some shots, he's taken some shots. The last 2 series, last 2 offensive possessions. One heck of a drive, though, by the Kentucky Wildcats. That was a gut check.
DeMarcus Sweat, just 17 years old, a true freshman out of Lithonia, Georgia. They think this Wildcat has a beautiful future. In situations like that, you might expect a senior, an upperclassman, to be the go-to guy. They go to the true freshman in that situation and get a huge touchdown to tie it up.
And let's remember on the previous two passes before, Darryl Collins, another freshman, stepping up big. The one that he overran just a little bit, but the big catch over the middle, and then he comes right back. You know, there's a lot of future left in this passing offense. You look at Maxwell Smith, only a sophomore, and then a couple of freshmen coming up big with some downfield throws.
Squib kick. And with 23 seconds to go, Western Kentucky has it at the 25. Allison.
As you would imagine, guys, sheer emotion on the UK sideline. This place absolutely erupted, but just the look of determination on DeMarcus Sweat's face when he came off the field, it was almost one of anger. It was such an emotional release for him to get the ball in that situation and be able to deliver in such a clutch time for his team.
Again, looking for the big play guy here in Lexington. Really had one since Randall Cobb. They think Sweat can be that guy. He gets the second touchdown of his young career. As you can see, the disappointment on Willie Taggart's face. Still time on the clock. 20 seconds to go. Jakes deep downfield. Incomplete. Intended for Willie McNeil. Great coverage in the secondary. Ashley Lowry, the safety there for the Wildcats. 17 seconds to play. And Western Kentucky does have a timeout.
Well, Jakes gave his receiver a chance. Excellent job by Lowry to come over the top and help on the coverage. I think he might have had a step on J.D. Harmon.
"17 seconds to go. Give it to Andrews. See if they decide to burn their timeout here. Be happy to just go into overtime. Looks like that's what they're going to do. What a comeback for the Kentucky Wildcats. And the fans here at Commonwealth Stadium are appreciative. Roaring back to tie it up with a beautiful scoring drive in under 2 minutes here in the fourth quarter.
You know, we talked about, Joker Phillips is under fire a little bit. You see him there visiting with Randy Sanders and what the strategy will be when they go into this overtime period. But, the fans that stuck around in the stadium tonight actually rewarded with that final drive. Maxwell Smith laying it on the line, a couple of freshmen stepping up big. The defense for Kentucky did a pretty good job a couple times after an opening drive, giving their offense a couple other opportunities.
In case you're just joining us, here's a recap. Antonio Andrews has been the go-to guy on the ground in this power running game for the Hilltoppers. A couple of rushing touchdowns. How about the effort of Jonathan George, the number 3 tailback for Kentucky? Koshik Williams banged up a little bit in this one. Raymond Sanders not playing tonight because he's being punished. And Jonathan George has scored a rushing and receiving touchdown.
Jonathan George in this second half. We briefly saw Koshik Williams into Marcus Sweat after a completion to Darryl Collins, able to get it into the end zone. The point after tied up the ball game, and now it's overtime once again. Second week in a row, the Sun Belt SEC matchup in overtime.
You and I were there in Little Rock last week, and now here in Lexington, we're going to overtime. Coin toss. The choice of who's going to start with the football from the 30-yard line. 25-yard line, No game clock, but the play clock will run. And you have to go for 2, starting with the third overtime.
You're going to have a call on the toss. It's going to be heads or tails. Your choice is going to be offense, defense, or choose an end. Each team will receive one timeout. Both teams have a challenge remaining. What's your call? Tails is the call. It's tails.
We'd like to go on defense.
You'll choose defense. You're going to play down here. You're going to put your back to that goal.
So Western Kentucky wins the toss. They elect to go on defense, and most teams do. What is the strategy there?
Well, then you know exactly what you have to get out of your possession. We saw this last week. Well, Arkansas goes first. They're unable to move the football. They kick a field goal. And Louisiana Monroe was left with the opportunity to determine, you know, look, we get the ball on the 25-yard line. You're looking at a 42-yard field goal. All we have to do is kick a field goal to tie the game up. Ultimately, they opted to go for it on 4th down because of the way Colton Browning was playing. It'll be interesting to see if it comes to that, what Willie Taggart ends up deciding. But ultimately, what you want is to know what kind of cards you have to play. And by going on defense initially, you're guaranteed to get your offensive possession, but then you ultimately know what kind of points you have to get out of it. It impacts your play call.
Is this a benefit to Kentucky in a way because they've been so much about rhythm tonight, and they've got it on their side right now?
Yeah, they do, but it's also been something where they've gained a little bit of momentum. Coming out of the overtime, Western Kentucky's had a chance to regroup. I don't know if it's such an advantage unless they've already gotten on a roll.
Now play clock expires. And there'll be a penalty to start the overtime against Kentucky. And the crowd is really upset about it.
Well, they should be. I mean, part of the advantage is that, look, you start out on the 25-yard line. We just talked about it. You don't gain a single yard. You don't have one lost yardage play. And you've got somewhat of a manageable field goal team. Now it's a 47-yard.
Now 1st and 15 from the 30. We're in overtime. Smith, incomplete. LaRod King, the intended receiver, couldn't haul it in. 2nd and long.
You almost wonder if Maxwell Smith was just a little too late at the line of scrimmage on 1st down. Regardless, the challenge you've got now is you got to work your way back into a more manageable field goal situation as opposed to taking shots at scoring or get a first.
Again, this is not sudden death overtime. No matter what Kentucky does here, the Hilltoppers will get a series of their own. 2nd and 15, Smith to the outside, complete to King, and he takes a hit out of bounds. Penalty flags rain in, and another stupid penalty by the Hilltoppers.
There's no other way to describe it.
Personal foul, late hit out of bounds on the defense. Number 13, half the distance, automatic, 1st down.
He was 4 steps out of bounds.
It's inexcusable. We've seen this. We saw it at the end of the half. This is 3 times now where Western Kentucky defensive penalty, personal fouls where they've kept drives alive. It's what allowed Kentucky to kick a field goal before half and then puts them in great field position again.
1st and 10 from the 12. George to the pylon. Did he get it? Yes, touchdown Kentucky. His 3rd touchdown tonight. And Kentucky takes the lead in overtime.
I tell you, we haven't mentioned his name much tonight, but big Larry Warford pulling from his left guard or right guard spot, gets out in front, throws a key block. And now Willie Taggart knows exactly what he has to get offensively, and it's a touchdown. Look at big 67. Great block downfield, Jonathan George. The kid's proven to have a nose for the end zone. Look at a big fella, all-conference performer, gets out in front of his ball carrier. Huge personal foul. Gives Kentucky an opportunity, and they capitalize.
7 penalties against Western Kentucky tonight. I can think of 3 that have been real egregious and have cost them.
Let's remember, off that first interception, very first offensive possession for Kentucky, they throw a pick. Western Kentucky comes down. They hit Jack Doyle for a touchdown. Illegal formation. They take points off the board and end up with a field goal. But again, we've seen personal fouls extend drives, and it was a 7-point costly penalty on that.
Play fake on 1st down in overtime. Incomplete. Their tight end Doyle deep downfield at about the 3-yard line. Jakes can't hit him. Second down.
Nellum's running with Doyle, not necessarily a mismatch. In fact, you like that coverage opportunity. Ukwu was able to get to Jakes late, get him on the ground, and of course, it's first down and touchdown to stay in this ball game. There is no thoughts of field goal, a much maligned field goal unit at that.
Joker Phillips has heard some catcalls from these fans here tonight, I'm sure at times, and trying to rally him on his side now. Jakes in trouble. Gets out of a tackle at the 33. On his feet inside the 20, and he's going to be close to a first down. What a run by Jakes after it looked like he was going to be dumped for a loss. Give him 9.
It's Nellum's again. A great job on the coverage. The perfect call. Did an excellent job getting upfield. Jakes just able to break containment. Reminiscent of a Colton Brownie keeping the ball alive from a week ago for Louisiana Monroe.
So now 3rd and 1. Andrews in the backfield. Kadeem Jones, the fullback. They go to Andrews. He's got the first down. They'll spot it at about the 14-yard line, maybe the 13. 1st and 10 for Western Kentucky, down a touchdown here in overtime.
And a new set of downs to work with. See, Willie Taggart was actually the perfect defensive play call. I like the boot on the play before. In fact, I thought that one could have been out of the gate. But again, keeping it on the ground, the way that they've had success here tonight, there's no sacrifice in that, the way Andrews has been carrying the football.
Play clock down to 6. It's Andrews again. And he gets it to the 10-yard line before Ukwu brings him down. It'll be 2nd down and 6.
Great job by Sean Conway, Adam Smith, Louis Polanco covering the defensive lineman up. It wasn't like Andrews could just hit a hole right there. He showed some patience and squirted through. This is where Rick Minter's defense, we talked about it, stopping the run. They also got to keep an eye at the tight end position. We've documented it tonight. Jack Doyle, he does an excellent job of slipping out underneath the coverage, stays in the block briefly. He's at the top of the screen.
Again, winding down to 3. Jakes gets the snap off, throws a knockdown. Intended for Doyle, but getting his hands on it, Taylor Wyndham. We talked a lot about Wyndham in the first half. Kind of quiet here in the second half, but a huge play here for Kentucky.
Great play by Taylor Wyndham. We talked about him with Coach Minter. He wanted to get him on the field more. Said he could play any defensive line position. Looks like he might be a pretty good drop linebacker at times as well. A touchdown saving pass deflection on that play. And they were going to Doyle.
3rd and 7. In overtime. Western Kentucky has it at the 10-yard line. Jakes to the flat. Jones stops short of the first down. Taylor Wyndham stopping Kadeem Jones about 1.5 yards from the first down marker, and a penalty flag comes in. Personal foul on Kentucky.
Force half the distance, automatic first down.
I'll tell you what, Rick Minter, he came with the pressure. It didn't look like it was too flagrant to me unless they were thinking he was going high on a passer. Either way, it looked like a bang-bang type of a play. That is a huge penalty, obviously. Incredibly impactful off a well-played pass reception to keep him short of the first down.
1st and goal now for the Hilltoppers. At the 2.5-yard line. Send Doyle in motion. Going to run to the power. Andrews. And Western Kentucky is an extra point away from tying this one up.
Watch the extra point. Coach Taggart's going to leave his offense on the field. He's going to go for 2 and try to end this thing.
We look at the touchdown. Andrews. And now Willie Taggart. is going to call a timeout. He uses his one timeout here in the overtime to maybe give this a second thought. Initially showed that he was going to go for 2.
There's a lot to think about. You know, this is 2 weeks in a row we talk about it. But let's talk about how they even got into the situation and get the touchdown.
Here's the personal foul that led to the touchdown.
I got to tell you, that's Dupree. Big Bud Dupree comes in on the blitz. That's a questionable call. You're taking into account the situation, especially. The only thing I can figure, and that's what Joker Phillips is saying right now, is explain to me how that was roughing the passer. Looked like Dupree let up just enough. The only thing I can figure is that he went up high a little bit. That was an iffy call at best. Regardless, Western Kentucky able to take advantage of that first down. Willie Taggart, it looks to me like he is going to try to go ahead and end the ball game on a 2-point conversion.
Who do you give it to? Andrews has 3 rushing touchdowns tonight. He has been the workhorse. Is he the go-to guy?
You know, if he is, I don't see him on the offensive football field right now.
Kadeem Jones, the fullback, is in the backfield. Jakes to Andrews. Andrews going back to Jakes. He walks in, and Western Kentucky wins the game. The Sun Belt Conference strikes again. Not only does Willie Taggart go for it, with a 2-point conversion, he calls a trick play.
Willie Taggart talked about when you get a lead, you got to step on a team's throat. The lead evaporated. You see Antonio, look at Andrews sell it. The patience almost didn't get it back to Jakes. But the sell, this is a backwards pass. He's able to get it back out to Jakes. What a brilliant play call. It looked like it was snuffed out, but Kentucky did a great job. And Willie Taggart, he gambled a couple of times on 4th down. This team would not be denied. And 2 weeks in a row, an SBC team finds a way to get it done and ends it on a first overtime possession.
First win for Western Kentucky against Kentucky. First win against an SEC team. And the second win for a Sun Belt Conference team in 2 weeks against the SEC. Let's go down to Allison Williams.
Coach Taggart, after all that, you guys get your first win against Kentucky in overtime by going for 2.
In an SEC opponent. How about that?
Why the decision to go for 2, and what was the call?
Where our defense was tired there at the end, and they were giving up plays they wasn't giving up early in the game. And I told our guys, we get in overtime, we're going to go for 2. And that play we put in this week, and we actually ran on our defense in 2 minutes and then said we're going to put it in this week, and we said we're going to go for it all. You know, we're going to run it.
So you put in a trick play this week, and you use it to win the game.
Yes, we like, why not? You know, we figured they'll be going after Antonio Andrews, and we had them out there, and they did. They ran for him and left him wide open.
I saw the emotion after the game. Can you describe to me the way you're feeling right now for your program?
That's big time for our university. You know, Kentucky is the big brother of the state, and I think it's big for our program and talk about where we come from just in 2 years and where we're at now. You know, it just, again, more part of the whole progress of our program growing, and it's a big signature win for it. It was our time. We played all these schools. It was our time.
Coach Taggart, thank you.
Hey, thank you.
I reckon that the student body at Western Kentucky will be wearing Hilltoppers apparel going forward.
Yeah, well, if they aren't, they better restock the shelves at the bookstore and get some apparel ready, because Western Kentucky announcing their presence. The SBC better watch out. They've got yet another contender in the Hilltoppers.
Tonight's Wrangler 5-star player of the game, Antonio Andrews. 3 rushing touchdowns. He threw the 2-point conversion pass to K1 Jakes. 161 total yards for Andrews. What a night.
I'll tell you what, I believe Coach Taggart might have found his next Bobby Rainey with 34 touches tonight. That's a lot of carries, but what a heck of a ball game. Back and forth in Western Kentucky, able to announce their presence. The SPC is a force to be reckoned with, regardless of the opposition. What a gutty call. Great ending.
32-31 Western Kentucky in overtime. Now Matt, Charles, and Tom in the studio. So long from Lexington.
That was an amazing finish.
Wow.
That was fantastic. Not for Kentucky, though. Michigan State and Notre Dame. Top 20 matchup in East Lansing. Everett Golson finding time. Heaving ball. John Goodman. 36 yards for the touchdown. Then later, Golson gonna tuck it and run.
So this is that dynamic that is so difficult to account for. Don't see it an awful lot. You get that guy that can create second chances. That's what Golson does for Notre Dame right there.
And right now, the Fighting Irish, fighting time, and the Spartans up 14-3 as the third quarter winding down, about 4.5 minutes to go. Le'Veon Bell, 18 carries for 73 yards. What a finish with Western Kentucky. Willie Taggart, great call. Obviously, great call, hindsight, the fact that it worked. But your thoughts there in that call?
Well, it was just one of those things. He said, I trust my team. We're going to go for it. We're going to make it happen. And when you do it and execute it perfectly, you can't ask for anything more.
Hey, you're on the road. You're the underdog. You're exhausted on defense, just like Willie Taggart said. It's time to move forward, take your best shot. You got something in your pocket there that you know is just picture perfect for that moment, and then you execute it.
Jack Harbaugh has to be happy. Long-time coach of Western Kentucky has to be cheering for those guys right now.
They were 0-15 against SEC opponents.
Wow.
They get that win over Joker Phillips and Kentucky. Well, let's send it out to Joe Davis and Jay Walker for Norfolk State and Howard.